Hey guys, how you doing you all? In this video we are going to see what if Deku fall in love with lusty Tokage. And please do check out story named My Alliance by DrawingDoc. And make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. Let's get into the video. UA Mess Hall. It was another ordinary day at the UA High School. Everyone was mingling within the cafeteria, celebrating the halfway point of their day. They discussed everything about their lives from pro hero training to local hobbies. However, in this area, there were 3 students focused on a unique topic. It started with Izuku Midoriya. He was a plain-looking teenager with an average height for a 15-year-old. But, he did bear a few unique features such as curly green hair, round emerald green eyes, freckles on each cheek forming a diamond pattern. His school uniform, though perfectly intact, bore a red necktie that was tied in such a manner that its tip pointed at the center of his chest rather than his belt buckle, and to bring his entire attire together. He also wore a pair of red high tops. He sighed over his current role. I'm kinda worried about the whole class rep thing. I don't think I'm qualified. The girl across the table, Achako Uraraka, responds to this comment with a mouthful of rice. Sure you are. She was a fair amount shorter than Midoriya, with a brown bob cut, brown eyes of the same hue, and rosy cheeks. The only thing that separated her from being an ordinary girl was the soft pads on her fingertips that activates her quirk every time she pressed all 5 fingers onto an object with one hand. Which would explain her unique method of flexing one finger while holding a bowl of rice. You'll be great. Your courage and quick thinking under stress will help make you a worthy leader. Not to mention the strength you've demonstrated. Those are the reasons I voted for you, at least Iida assured his green-haired friend. The final member of this trio, sitting next to the girl, Tenya Iida, was far taller and more muscular than his 2 companions. He had straight, disheveled, dark blue hair parted to the right with blue eyes hidden behind a pair of rectangular glasses. Like his compatriots, he also appeared just as normal as the others. Only the top half of his body followed that rule, however. If you took a look at his legs, you would notice the 6 exhaust pipes on each of his muscular calves. You were one of the 3. Didn't you want to be rep really badly? I mean, you do look the part. Cause of the glasses. The sweat drop forms on the back of Izuku's head as he says, that's not how we should be voting for others. Wanting a job and being suited to it are quite different things. Observing the Iida family's hero agency has taught me that much. Iida responded. Agency? The 2 asked in unison. Hold on, what does your family do? Izuku questioned his spectacled companion. Oh, it's nothing, Iida answered. You know, I've been wondering something about you. Admitted Iida. You're filthy rich. Sparks crystallized around Achako's eyes as she connected the dots. I was afraid people would treat me differently if they knew about my family, Iida sighed. Pressure resonated from both cinnamon roll students as they continued to stare at the spectacled speedster. Iida shook his head. There was no turning back. He slipped one detail about himself. Now, he has to explain the rest of his story. You see, the Iidas have been pro-heroes for generations. It runs in our blood. What? That's awesome. Midoriya and Uraraka exclaimed. Are you all familiar with the turbo hero, Ingenium? I know all about him. He's a super popular pro with 65 sidekicks working alongside him at his Tokyo agency. Izuku burst out with his eyes lit up. Suddenly, the boy pieced together the connection between Iida and the famed pro hero, as shown by his widening eyes. Don't tell me. He's my elder brother. The speedster student proclaimed. Your family's famous. I can't believe it. Iida was clearly on a roll, bearing the others' attention. Ingenium is an unmatched commander who honors the hero code. As the second oldest Iida son, I strive to be just like him, Iida said with a smile. However, I think it might be a bit soon for me to be in a real leadership role. He turns his attention to Midoriya as he presses on. You, for example. You figured out what the judges were looking for in the practical exam. A rep needs that sort of insight. Both stared at Iida, gasping lightly. That's the first time I've seen you smile, Tenya. You should do it more, Uraraka remarked. What are you talking about? I smile all the time. It wasn't that Iida was super strict. He wants to emulate his brother, much like Midoriya, regarding All Might's legacy. Though at the same time, Izuku believed their classmate shouldn't be so hard on himself, given how clueless the green-haired teen was back in the practical test. Unfortunately, before Izuku could explain what happened back then, the school bells turned on out of nowhere, surprising everyone in the cafeteria. Warning. Level 3 security breach. All students, please evacuate the building in an orderly fashion, a voice called from the school's PA system. What's a level 3 security breach? Iida asked one of the nearby students. It means that someone's managed to get past the school barriers. This hasn't happened in my 3 years here. We should get going. The student then bolted for the exit without another word. From there, utter chaos filled every corner of the halls. Shoulder to shoulder, everybody shoved against one another and the students transformed the inner walls of the school into a battle of survival. Ow. This is a total mob. Achako strained as she kept getting sandwiched between students. Everyone was quick to react. As I'd expect from UA students, Ida admitted. Yeah. But everyone's causing a huge panic. Isn't this too much of a reaction? Before he knew it, Izuku was caught by the current of students and swept away within the crowd. The constant pushing and shoving proved too much for the one-for-all wielder to handle as he was knocked off his feet and pulled further away from his friends. Crap. I can't stop. Oh no, Deku. Godspeed, Midoriya. Within seconds, the green net was slammed face first into the windows of the hall. What is the press doing on campus grounds? Did somebody help them break in? Little did he know that in another area, Iida was wondering the same thing after swimming through the crowd to get a better look. UA courtyard. Meanwhile, out on the school's courtyard, about 36 reporters and cameramen swarmed two of the teacher's pro-heroes. The one on the right was President Mick, a middle-aged man with a slick radio DJ Jedip and long blonde hair slicked back and up for some reason. The other was Eraserhead, a plain, dark-haired guy about the same age as his coworker, but unlike Mick, this guy was so lazily dressed in a black tracksuit that you'd think he was a trespassing homeless man if it weren't for his long gray scarf loosely wrapped around his neck. All you have to do is give us all might. He's here somewhere. A female reporter pressured the two pro-hero teachers. We said it's his day off, President Mick remarked. Just give us one good comment on record and then we'll leave. I know how you people work, we give you an inch and you'll want a mile, Eraserhead deciphered. They are trespassing. That means they're kinda like villains. Why don't we just beat 'em up? Don't you even think about it. Unless you want your name dragged through the mud. Let's wait for the cops, Aizawa advised, to which President Mick groaned. Mick, you better not have gotten that idea from Vlad King. I know he loves his students, but he can be a real firestarter when you don't want him to be. Aizawa thought. UA, hallways. Meanwhile, back in the school halls, the swarming of students only continued to worsen. I was afraid that it was some kind of attack on the school, but there's no need to worry, everyone. Iida attempted to deliver the news before he was shoved face first against the glass. Guys. Calm down. There aren't any villains outside. It's just the press. Midoriya tried to get the news across, but suffered the same luck as Iida, as his back was pressed into another section of the glass wall. Suddenly, he spotted something strange. Somebody's right arm was sticking straight up in the air. That's odd. Why is somebody's arm pointing up in the air? Midoriya thought. His eyes widened when he realized the arm wasn't moving, meaning its owner was stuck in place. Oh no. They're trapped. Whoever's in there is going to suffocate at this rate. I gotta do something. With one hand latching onto a pillar for support, he reached out with his other hand to grab the trapped student's arm as he thought, come on. Come on. He tried to grab it and failed, damn it. They're still too far away. He tried again and immediately caught them by the hand. Yes. Finally. Now I just have to pull them back and we should be good. Midoriya started pulling on the arm in the hope of moving the student to the wall with him. A few times, he tugged the arm and each effort failed. Almost. There. Then, with one more attempt, Midoriya shut his eyes tightly as he pulled the arm with all his might to save the fellow UA student. And then, pop. He succeeded in pulling something towards him. Yes. Midoriya thought, I did it. I saved them. I saved. Midoriya opened his eyes for one moment, only to realize that he didn't save the person. Rather, the only thing he acquired was an entire right arm from the hand to the top of the shoulder. Midoriya started to freak out more and more. The boy's eyes widened, pupils vanished, and a high-pitched scream of terror erupted from his throat as only one thought came to his mind. Holy whoa. I ripped an arm off. Listen up. Everything is okay, all of the students gasped, including Izuku, as they halted in their tracks, looked up, and gave everybody the space to breathe. It's just the media outside. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. Everything's fine. We're UA students. We need to remain calm and prove that we're the best of the best. Iida delivered his message to the masses, immediately calming them down. Izuku watched Iida with admiration. He took a stand when things got rough, reassured everyone, and demonstrated true leadership skills in the moment when everything fell into chaos. Nothing else could have shown Iida's abilities to lead a class, no, an entire student body, better than that moment. Shortly thereafter, the cops finally arrived to detain the press. The trespassers were forced to comply as President Mick shouted obscene farewells to the unwelcome visitors. The crowd within the building disperses shortly thereafter as they all return to their normal routines. Everyone except Midoriya, that is. Since that fateful moment, the boy remained where he stood as he continued to stare at the severed appendage with pure dread. Oh crap. What am I going to do now? I committed mutilation in UA. I can't just confess that I did the work of a villain. What would I say to them? To mom? To Mr. Izawa. Ida. Uraraka. All me. Hey. Deku. Where are you? Uraraka shouts in the distance. Midoriya freaks out and immediately hides the arm within the backside of his blazer before blurting out, Uraraka. Both Ida and Uraraka rush over to the green hut upon hearing his voice. The tallest of the three students speed walks through the dissipating crowd to Midoriya as he exclaims, there you are, Midoriya. We were wondering where you slipped off to. Oh. Hey guys. How's everyone doing? Midoriya asked nervously. Ida answered with pride, everything has gone back to normal. Thanks to Uraraka's assistance, we minimized student injuries. Now that the police have arrived to reroute the trespassing reporters, they have all returned to their daily routine. Midoriya relaxed as he thought, okay. That's a relief. Uraraka noticed that Midoriya has been sweating, or at least, more than usual. This prompted her to ask, are you okay, Deku? You're not hurt, are you? Midoriya blurts, No. Why would you think that? Ida notices his friend panicking more than usual. So he throws in his prompt, you appear to be sweating more than usual. Do you need to see recovery girl? No. Not really. I'm fine. Midoriya tried super hard to put both of his friends at ease, it's just that. Suddenly, as the green-haired boy suddenly lifted his blazer by raising his hands in defense, he noticed something was off. Midoriya pats himself a few times before realizing one thing. Oh crap. My notebook's gone. Midoriya blurts out loud. I have months of work stored in that thing. Months? Ida wondered, what was in the book, if I may ask? Can it be replicated? Replicated? Of course not. I have footnotes for all sorts of quirks and hero work in that thing. Damn it. I can't lose all my hard work again. Uraraka watches the boy panicking more and more, so she asks, oh my gosh. That's awful. Do you want us to help you find it? Midoriya stopped panicking as he faced his two friends, you want to help me find my notebook? Uraraka nodded as she admitted, yeah. Totally. It'll be a lot better if we team up to look for your book together. Ida follows along as he waves both of his hands robotically, she's right, you know. We only have 15 minutes before the bell. And none of us can afford to lose recent knowledge found only within a single document. Can you describe to us what this journal of yours looks like so we can begin our search? Midoriya takes note of how earnest both of his friends are after confessing a new habit of his. Realizing this may be his one chance to reacquire such a priceless item, he agreed to it. He then answers, oh. Okay then. Oh well, the notebook I need to look for is blue, with a few scorch marks on the cover. Oh, and there's a title taped on the front, labeled Hero Notes for the Future number 13. Does that work? Ida straightens up as he announces, of course. That's perfect. Let us begin the search for the missing documents. Uraraka and I will search the cafeteria given the greater area. Midoriya, you track the book in the hallways. Any questions, you two? Midoriya and Uraraka answer at the same time, nope. Sounds good. The boy then looks away, embarrassed at their synchronization. Very well then. Let's move out. Ida shouts as he struts back to the cafeteria as Uraraka follows along with her farewell rite. Good luck, Deku. Midoriya watches the two friends leave as he mutters, oh okay. Sounds good. Thanks, guys. The boy then looks around the hall for anyone remaining. Upon confirming no one was around, he sighs in relief as he draws the missing arm out of his blazer. With certainty that no one will track him down, he begins his search. Midoriya rushes across the hallway, hoping to find the owner of the arm and his notebook. He begins muttering to himself with the severed appendage in hand, that was too close. I'd better return this while Ida and Uraraka are occupied. Although now that I think about it, the arm doesn't look like it broke off by accident. The cut is perfectly straight and no blood has left it so far, meaning the owner must have a transformative type of quirk. Not to mention, there's still a pulse and it feels warm too, which implies the limb can still move. It feels lighter than usual too, so maybe there's a secondary element to the quirk, like flight or telekinesis. Man, it would be a lot easier if I met the owner of this. Hey. Excuse me. Can I have that back, please? Exclaimed a voice along the hall. The boy was yanked out of his thoughts upon hearing a girl about 50 feet away and in front of him, asking for her arm back, and he immediately froze. Any words that came from her were immediately silenced as Midoriya analyzed a person coming closer to him while asking for her arm back. From a distance, the girl was wearing the female version of the UA uniform. A white blouse, a red necktie tied correctly, unlike Midoriya, standard grey UA blazer, green pleated skirt, white ankle socks, and black slip-on shoes. She looked about his height and age, albeit about a few inches shorter. And both her eyes and hair were green, similar to Midoriya's. However, the girl's eyes were a deep dusky green, and her hair was closer to a moss green, wavy, and extended a bit below the shoulders, minus one short clump of hair hanging at the center of her forehead. All of her locks of hair followed the same format of turning wavier and thinner as it reached the bottom. Her figure appears slender at first glance, yet as she came closer to the boy, Midoriya noticed she was also athletic and bore a fair level of curves, especially in her legs and waist. To the untrained eye, she appeared to be like any other high school girl. However, to Midoriya, this wasn't the case, as the feminine greenette has the right sleeve of her blazer trailing behind her like some misshapen cape. That one last detail transformed the boy from bashful to terrified in an instant. He grows even redder as he thinks, oh my gosh. Another girl is coming over to talk to me. She looks so pretty and kind of. Wait. Hold on. Her sleeve's empty. That's got to mean she's the owner of the arm. Oh crap. She's gonna kill me at this rate. Okay. Stay cool. Stay cool. Just talk to her like you would with a friend. He straightens his posture as he attempts some decent form as the new girl finally stands in front of him. The girl spoke up as she leaned forward and waved her remaining hand. Hello? Anybody home? Midoriya wakes up from his stupor and squeaks, oh. Hi there. Didn't see you there. Damn it. Thought the boy, why is it so hard to talk to girls? The girl smirks at the boy's shy behavior, not much of a talker, are you, big guy? Midoriya goes a little redder as he replies, is it really that obvious? The girl originally thought the thief of her missing limb was some two-bit jerk putting up an act. The fact that the guy she tracked down was only a stuttering, shy boy put her mind more at ease. She then claims as she shrugs both of her shoulders, I wouldn't worry about it. It's not everyone's strong suit. Midoriya begins to calm down as the blush on his cheek slowly fades away, well, why you're not wrong. I guess. She then returns to the topic and asks once more, speaking of which, can you give me my arm back, please? Oh. Alright. Answered Midoriya as he almost forgot why the girl was here, here you go. He then passed the severed limb by the elbow back to the girl. The girl grins at the notion, giving Midoriya the chance to discover that the girl possesses sharp teeth. They weren't razor sharp and shark-like like his classmate Kirishima, but rather pointy yet soft like a lizard. She then gave him a simple thank you in sing-song dialect as she grabbed her missing arm by the wrist and tossed it in the air. It then split into 7 pieces as each flew around her and slid back up within the empty sleeve. Most people would have been shocked or put off by the display of power. But Midoriya, he was fascinated as he thought, whoa. So, her quirk lets her divide herself into smaller pieces and fly them around at will. That would make her very mobile in the field. Although I don't think the floating pieces have much weight while in a fight. Maybe she makes up for it by moving her part super fast. The girl looks back at the fellow greenette and slyly remarks while posing, what? Did something catch your eye? Midoriya freaks out over staring for so long as he exclaims, what? No. It's not what it looks like, I swear. I wasn't checking you out at all. I just think your Q quirk is super cool. Not that I don't think you're cute. You're super cute. Very, pretty even. The girl chortles at Midoriya's outburst, so much so that she leans into a nearby wall to keep herself from falling and rolling all over the floor in laughter. The boy stops the rambling notion, confused over her response. The feminine greenette reels in her laughter and replies, oh my gosh. You're a riot, man. You're funny when you're flustered. The boy looked away to avoid embarrassing himself any further in front of the cute stranger. She starts to calm down and straighten herself while brushing away any wrinkles in her blouse and skirt with her hands. The girl then walks over to him and admits, hey, don't worry about it, man. I know I'm a looker. There's no need to be ashamed about that. She then asks, so, care to introduce yourself? Is this a good time to do so? The boy questions while sweating, I don't mind introductions, but I tore off your arm a few minutes ago. Wouldn't that make things a bit awkward? The girl understood what he meant, but she didn't want the guy to blame himself for the rest of the day. So, she answers, it's fine. You didn't mean any harm with that stunt of yours. I only popped it off cause I thought my arm got snagged by some school equipment. So, let's call it water under the bridge. Besides, you do have a better name than the UA arm thief, right? Midoriya chuckled at the cheesy nickname as he admitted, why you do make a good point. He then reaches out his hand to the girl and says, I'm Izuku Midoriya from class 1A. It's super nice to meet you. The girl grins at the boy's introduction as she shakes his hand, leans towards him, and replies, Satsuna Tokage from class 1B, pleasure's all mine, cutie. Midoriya fell into another blushing mess the moment she called him cute, albeit slightly more than before. Tokage noticed this move as she began to giggle and think, oh yeah. This guy's going to be fun to be around. Tokage then steps back as she asks, so, it looks like we have some time left before the break ends. Care to walk around with me? At first, Midoriya wanted to turn her down because he still needed to look for his notebook. However, seeing the girl smile at him with such a carefree and light-hearted attitude left him entranced. It wasn't the grand and bombastic smile he was used to seeing from All Might, yet, for some reason, he was drawn to it and wanted to see it some more. Thus, he decided that befriending someone from the sister hero class would be a good idea, so he replies, oh okay then. If you insist. And tags along with the girl to what he can only hope to describe as a casual stroll. The two start walking around the halls while Midoriya struggles to come up with a conversation starter. He thinks, crap. What do I do now? This is my first time talking with a girl since Uraraka. What do I say? Wait. Don't panic. Just ask a question and go from there. He turns to Tokage and asks, so. Tokage. I saw how strong your splitting quirk was earlier. What's it called? The girl was a bit perplexed over how the boy began their conversation, but chose to roll with it. My quirk. Oh, I call it Lizard Tail Splitter. Lizard Tail Splitter? Midoriya pondered over the answer, is it because you have a minor mutation? Nope. No mutation. The girl cheerily exclaimed, I just call it that cause it reminded me of how some lizards tend to split off a piece of their body to escape. It started as a joke in my family, and I've been using it ever since. Oh, I see. So what about you, big guy? Tokage turned to Midoriya as she prompted her question, since you asked me about my quirk, care to tell me the name of yours? My quirk. Midoriya suddenly realized that this was the first time anyone had asked about the name of his power. However, he knew he couldn't just spout the name one for all, without putting her in danger. So he fibbed, well, it's a power type. Power type. That's it. Tokage didn't quite understand the simplicity of the name. Why do you call it that? Well, you see. My quirk manifested recently and I haven't used it much. When I do, it makes my attack super strong, but at the cost of breaking my bones. So you're a late bloomer? Midoriya nodded to Tokage's question as she continued, that explains a lot. The entrance exam must have been hell on earth for you, wasn't it? Yeah, it kinda was. I'm just glad I found a way to pass the practical component despite the odds. I mean, in the end, I made it to UA, so that's a relief. Midoriya sheepishly rubbed the back of his head. So, how did you get in, Tokage? Recommended. Tokage slammed her hand against her mouth, realizing what she was about to answer with. She slowly turned to the fellow greenette, anticipating a face of dread, disturbance, distaste, or something. Instead, this happened. You got in on a recommendation? Izuku asked with a blank stare. Yeah, I did. I guess it does sound a little off-putting. Don't you think? Oh my gosh. That is awesome. Wait. You don't think that's weird at all? No. I think that's amazing, Tokage. You must have worked hard to get into UA through a tougher exam. Who recommended you? Who? Oh, it was. He was. Tokage struggled to answer as she never expected anyone to ask for further details on the topic. Finally, while stroking her hair with both hands, she throws out an answer, he's a support item engineer. He used to go to UA back in his day. Sorry, I guess you were expecting a pro hero or someone wealthy, right? Nope. Not at all. Support item engineers are always working on the sidelines to help out heroes, no matter what. The guy who supported you must be pretty smart to send you in. Tokage giggles at that last compliment as she responds, well then, guess I'll have to introduce you to him and his place when I have the chance. Sounds like wait. For real. Why, you're not joking, right? Nope. Consider it the VIP tour hosted by yours truly. Tokage confesses as she flutters her eyelashes and flashes her sharp pearly whites to the boy once more. Midoriya smiles awkwardly as he answers the offer with, sure. Sounds cool. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks. The bell then rings, signifying 10 minutes remaining before class begins. Tokage slouches as she complains, oh man. Already? Midoriya turns over to Tokage, who now has a cartoonishly gloomy cloud above her head, leaving him to ask, Tokage. Are you alright? The girl rotates over to the boy to reply, yeah. I'm fine. It's just. Damn it. Now I have 10 minutes left before class and I have to spend them doing something else. What a killjoy. And what's that exactly? The girl then opens the left side of her blazer to pull out a blue notebook with a slightly charred cover. I have to find the owner of this book. I kinda stumbled upon it while looking for my arm. Midoriya adjusts himself with an embarrassed look on his face, something Tokage picked up as she asked, you okay there, dude? Yeah. I'm fine. It's just. Well. That's my. And notebook. Izuku answered as he looked away, while his face bloomed a crimson hue, see can I have it back, please? Tokage realized that her job became a lot easier as she replied while lightly blushing, sure. Here you go. She passes the notebook back into the boy's hands as she quips, looks like we're even now. Yeah. Thanks so much for your help. Don't mention it. Just happy to help. Well then, we'd better head back to class now. See you around, Midoriya. Oh. Okay then. See ya. A short time later, a realization kicks in as Midoriya internally exclaims, holy whoa. I just talked to another girl. The text from out of nowhere announces, no joke. He talked to one this time. Midoriya starts getting excited over his achievement as two figures approach him from behind. Deku? Midoriya. Both students call out the boy in unison. Midoriya squeaked in absolute shock. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. Are you alright? Uraraka approached the boy and stopped a little too close for comfort. Iida continued the conversation while waving his arms around robotically before finishing off with a dramatic bow. I apologize for the intrusion. Uraraka and I have searched everywhere for the notebook. Unfortunately, we came out empty-handed. Forgive me for not acquiring your needed journal sooner. It's okay, guys. It's all good. I found my missing notebook. Well, at least someone else did. Midoriya answered as he pulled out the particular item from his blazer. Really? Who was it, Deku? It was somebody from Class 1B. She stumbled upon it while wandering the halls. We even chatted for a bit. I see. Bravo, Midoriya. I expect nothing less from our class rep. You not only acquired what we were tasked to search for, but also started relations with our fellow heroes in training from Class 1B. I knew you were the perfect candidate. Iida congratulated with more robotic movements and a boisterous smile. Class rep. Oh man, in the entire rush of the security breach, his current title completely slipped his mind. Oh. Thanks guys. It was nothing. We better head back to class now. Of course. Let's head back to the homeroom, everybody. Right. Announced Uraraka. Midoriya trailed behind his friends as he contemplated his situation. Though, come to think of it, an idea slowly formed in his mind, leaving him with a slight grin as he walked with his friends back into the Class 1 homeroom. He then tried to calm himself down by writing everything he could think of about Tokage's quirk in his notebook. Okay. So she calls her quirk Lizard Tail Splitter. A mobile, transformative power that lets the user divide their body into several pieces that fly around at will. On the surface, it seems very useful for flight, stealth, and general-purpose movement. It may not be the best for hand-to-hand combat, so she might move her pieces around really fast to make up for the low mass. Now that I think about it, her initial rushed attitude might imply that her separated piece runs on a timer before she has to return it to her initial cut. Otherwise, the piece might become inert, making her less useful in the field overall. If that's the case, she might have a regenerative ability as a countermeasure. Though I can imagine it takes a lot of stamina out of her, which would at least explain why she never brought it up. Also, how many pieces can she split into? I already counted at least 8, so maybe more pieces are harder for her to manage and not lose overall. Oh man, that also leaves the design of her costume. How is she supposed to use her quirk without becoming overly revealing? Both Iida and Uraraka watched their green-haired friend from behind fall into another mumbling tirade as one thought crossed their minds simultaneously. There he goes again. UA front gate. How were ordinary members of the press able to bypass our security systems? Someone else must have been behind this. Some villain actually managed to infiltrate our school. But was this purely a show of power or a declaration of war? Their principal, Nezu, a short, well-dressed anthropomorphic rodent, wondered with a sense of dread as he and the other UA faculty members stared at the door. Or at least, what was left of it, as all that remained of it was a pile of dust. During her walk back to Class 1B's homeroom, Tokage thought back about her time meeting Midoriya. I can't believe I didn't get more time to talk to the guy. He's pretty skittish, but he was fun to hang out with. At least he held a decent conversation with me, not like some earlier guys. She then stared at a door 6 times her height, labeled 1B at the top, signifying her destination. Another thought then crept into her head. Oh well. I can always try to meet up with him after school. I'm sure he won't mind. She then opens the door to notice most of the class is currently indoors, chatting with one another, all except for one other person. Class 1B homeroom. Ah, the prodigal student of Class 1B has returned. I was beginning to wonder if you would ever show up. A boy with short disheveled blonde hair parted to the right and blue eyes appears before the girl. Oh hey Monoma. Tokage replied, sorry about the wait. Had to take care of a couple of errands first. Oh, no need to worry your head about that. You're Class 1B's deputy after all. It is quite the burden that many side characters, such as myself, would never take. Tokage was still a bit irritated that Monoma, since day one, kept on referring to himself as a side character. However, she only knew him for a few days and noticed how much he warmed up to the rest of the class, so she decided to cut him some slack. That being said, she wanted to eradicate the habit while it was fresh, so she replied, "Come on, Monoma. Stop bringing yourself down so much. Your work matters just as much as everyone else here. You're too kind, Tokage. Too kind." Monoma chuckled at the compliment. "If it's not bothersome for you, may I ask what kind of errand you had to take care of?" "My errand? Oh, I had to deliver a notebook back to its owner." "Is that right?" "Yeah, turns out it belongs to a guy from Class 1A. The cartoonish crack resonates from Monoma as his entire body turns black and white for a few seconds. He cranks his neck towards Tokage as the top half of his face goes dark. "Heh. I'm sorry. I didn't quite catch that. Can you repeat to me who the figure was again?" "A guy from Class 1A. He's pretty nice. I think you like him." Class 1A. Have you lost your mind, Tokage? What are you talking about, Monoma? Don't be ridiculous. Class 1 is the enemy. We should be dominating them in every turn. Why would we ever resort to such callous vulnerability as this? Monoma, cut it out already. It's just one guy I met earlier. There's no need to make a mountain out of a molehill. One guy is already a big enough threat to our place in the story. The argument kept on growing from there, with Tokage doing everything in her power to calm down the 1B fanatic who kept on hollering obscenities about Class 1A. Everyone stopped mingling with one another as they slowly turned to the duo. One group of 3 was unlucky enough to witness the argument up close. Such a group included a boy with long spiky black hair, gray eyes, and a white headband with blue zigzags. A pale slender girl with dark Prussian blue eyes and a silver bob cut while raising her hands around her upper torso in a ghostly manner. And a tall burly young man with brown fur covering most of his body except for his face which bears sharp teeth and golden eyes behind a pair of thick glasses. The girl, Ryuko Yanagi, was the first to notice Monoma's iconic rant, "Monoma is being scary again." The first guy, Yasetsu Uwase, stared at the scene in disgust while commenting, "Seriously, it's not even 5 minutes and he's already doing this again. What the hell?" The taller male, Jirota Shishida, threw his 2 cents in to relieve his classmate, "Please calm yourself, Sir Uwase. It is not worth the effort to fight Sir Monoma after what occurred earlier today. After all, we all know his charade will not last much longer. So you want me to let that blonde baboon run his damn mouth off? You know what? Forget I asked. I'm going after him," exclaimed the headband-wielding student as he rose from his seat to confront the blonde in question. At least, that was what he wanted to do until another student stepped into the classroom and laid her hand on Uwase, prompting him to stand down as she stepped closer and closer to the scene. With one fell swoop, she neck-chopped Monoma, knocking him out cold. Tokage stared at the whole scene playing out as she watched her classmate drag Monoma back to his seat. Itsuka Kendo. Who else but you would have stepped in to stop 1B's resident troublemaker? Kendo, the girl in question, was a few inches taller than Tokage and bore a similar build to her with slightly more muscle. She also had sharp teal eyes and long orange hair, which was currently tied into a ponytail on the left side of her head. The orange-haired girl noticed her friend looking down after the argument, so she walked over to check on her. "Sorry about that, Tokage. I didn't think Monoma would pull off that stunt after I left the room for a bit." "It's fine, Kendo. We both know the guy has a hole where his brain is supposed to be. I'm pretty sure the hole is where his heart should be, not part of his head." Kendo lightly laughed as a comedic sweat drop appeared on her head. All Tokage replied with was an eye roll. "Hey, you doing alright there?" "Oh, I'm fine, Kendo. You don't need to worry about me." "Tokage, I know we met each other a couple of days ago, but I've seen that look you give enough times to understand something's wrong. What's on your mind?" "Nothing." "Tokage, don't be a child." "I'm not a child." "Then stop acting like one. Then mind your own business." "My business is looking out for all of my classmates. That includes you, too. What's going on?" "You wouldn't get it. Try me." Tokage wanted to deny once more, but one stoic glare from Class 1B's big sis was enough to get her to cave in. She then proceeds to huff before answering, "Okay. Fine. It's this class I'm worried about. Half of them here are causing enough trouble as is when we're not around. Heck, the first week isn't even done, and Monoma already has plans to make everyone square up with Class 1A. So you're concerned that Monoma is going to kickstart a rivalry with our sister class. I can help you quell the idea to keep it from happening." "No, I'm not worried about that. Monoma only got 3 people at most into the plan, and even then, they only want to fight one other guy. That's nothing your trademark neck chop just can't fix. Tokage took a moment to think her words carefully over the recent feeling she's been having. Then, when she figures out what she wants to say, she finishes her thought, "I'm at a loss with the guys. Most of them don't tend to think things through. The ones that do are either docile or worse. It's bad enough we have to babysit one guy all day in school. How are we supposed to keep everyone else in line? I mean, am I even qualified to handle this? Well, this sort of thing. Tokage, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met. The fact that you're willing to think for a lot of us is the reason why they voted for you as our class deputy. You're going to do great and I'll always have your back when push comes to shove. You mean it? Sure do. Besides, remember our time in battle class yesterday? The one where All Might was in charge. Tokage laughed at the memory as she responded with, how could I not, Kendo? The guy was hilarious the whole time. I mean, flashcards and shouting our school's motto every 20 seconds. For a guy who's called the symbol of peace, he can be a real mess when he's supposed to be teaching us the ins and outs of the job. She then cackles harder at the last line she spelled out. Kendo, meanwhile, glares in frustration as she pinches the bridge of her nose over the Greenet's answer. I mean, do you remember your turn at the battle trials? Not All Might's. Whatever teaching style he was going for. Well, yeah. I got to partner up with Bondo over there during my round. Tokage then points to a tall, bulky young man with straw yellow skin and a unique head shaped like a glue dispenser with a lapid on top, 7 eye holes, and a wide zipper-like jaw. Shiozaki and Rin may have been trouble for any other team, but not us. The plan I crafted with our Semidine Colossus was flawless. You mean the plan where Bondo spewed glue all over the enemy team while you snuck around to slap capture tape on both of their arms? That was pretty dirty, even for you. Hey. I resent that. I was in a villain team, remember? And I'll use as many dirty tactics as I have to if it gives me the edge. Besides, Rin may have figured out what my plan was after shooting his scales at me, but by then, it was a little too late. We won out of brilliance. More like you won because you got lucky with your only strategy. All Might criticized you for that move during your review, remember? Don't remind me, Kendo. It's bad enough that the big guy scolded me for relying on one plan. I'm not great at improv. You know that. Kendo only smiled at Tokage's outburst, which provoked the latter enough to retort with a tick mark on the side of her head, solid wide eyes, and pointier teeth. Quit staring at me like that. It's not funny. Suddenly, the bell rang once more, signifying a new period had begun. The classroom door slides wide open as a tall, muscular, broad-shouldered, middle-aged man enters the homeroom. The man in question has short, spiky gray hair mostly directed upwards. Small, dark red eyes. A faded X-shaped scar around his left mandible. And a wide mouth with prominent lower fangs. For his outfit, he was wearing a skin-tight crimson bodysuit with a U-shaped collar in the front, a black Y-shaped trim around the same area, broad black arrows pointing diagonally downwards across each shoulder, wide above knee boots, thick white vambraces over the forearms, a 3-piece metal belt, a transparent orange mask covering the top third of his face, and a thin wire of the same shade as his vambraces snaking from his left forearm to the back of his neck. Alright, maggots. Back to your seats. Class is about to start. All of the students rushed back to their desks upon noticing the return of their teacher, Vlad King. He then pats Kendo and Tokage on the shoulder, except for you two. I need you to make some announcements first before we continue. Tokage then quips to Kendo, well, rep, let's get started then. Kendo then releases a visible sigh. This is going to be a long day. Some time later. Alright, class, that's enough indoor lessons for now. It's time to move out for field work. Field work? A student with a comic bubble for a head asks as several question marks appear on his face. The third day, and we're jumping back into hero training. I should have guessed that if means beating class 1 in their own game. Monoma commented with his usual smug charade. Sir Kansas. Shishida questioned the teacher, what category of training do you have in mind for us today? Stealth. The crimson teacher pulls out a violet flashcard with the title of today's lesson. You'll be working today on hiding, pursuit, and every element necessary for a surprise attack against the villains. Is this a good idea to teach everyone? Asked a short round young man with icy blue hair and black eyes. This type of lesson only seems to be suited toward students with espionage-based quirks. How is this meant to benefit everyone else? You're not wrong to bring that up, Shota. Not everyone possesses quirks best suited for an espionage mission, myself included. However, that doesn't mean these lessons can't be used for everyday work. Something as simple as catching a purse snatcher off their guard will be effortless if you know how to be discreet. Take the heroes Eraserhead and Hawks, for instance. The brunette, now known as Shota, nods as he quietly replies, I see. My apologies, sir. Don't worry your head about it. Now then, suit up for hero training and meet me at Ground Omega. Yes, sir. The whole class responded. A few seconds pass and nothing happens. Vlad King slams both his palms onto the desk as he shouts. What are you waiting for, maggots? We have a lesson planned outside. Hop to it. This sent all of the students scrambling out the door as everyone headed to the changing rooms. UA Ground Omega. Everyone dashes to the site known as Ground Omega. Tokage was the first to arrive to the site in her hero costume. A medium green skin-tight bodysuit with a scaly texture. Black fingerless gloves with beige cuffs. Jet black calf-length boots with silver racing stripes facing the outer legs. A dark green domino mask with a black border. A thin black belt around the waist with a round gunmetal buckle. And large pieces of black armor on her elbows, shoulders, knees, chest, and hips. The site before the girl was a circular, rocky forested area with thick concrete walls surrounding it and a golden omega letter signifying its only entrance and exit. Hey. Slow down, will ya? This isn't a race. Tokage turns around to see her close friend Tetsu, yes, that is his real name, rush towards her with several heavy pants. The boy in question had a highly ripped physique despite his young age. Messy, chin-length, steel-colored hair. Black eyes surrounded by thick tan eyelashes. And razor-sharp teeth. The hero costume he was wearing didn't leave much to the imagination as it only contained a dark green pale, baggy jumpsuit that extended up to below the chest. X-shaped metal suspenders with a red oval gem in the center. Thin metal bands around the middle of his biceps. A steel jaw guard with the letters FE etched on either side of his jaw. And black ankle-length boots with metallic plating on the soles, heels, and front. Come on, Tetsu. You know how much I love the outdoors. Don't you think the fact you're falling behind means you're getting, I don't know, slow? Ha. You're calling me slow. You're the one who sped off to leave the rest of the class behind, again. That's so unmanly. Hey now. No one batted an eye when I did that yesterday. I don't see why you would complain now. That's not what I meant. And you know. The pair of head chops silences the two of them as a third student enters the conversation. Knock it off, you two. Can't you guys save your energy for today's lesson? Meanwhile, everyone else arrived in their hero costumes, ranging from elaborate skin-tight clothing to a pair of slacks for some reason. Hey. What was that for, Kendo? That hurt. Ow. What the hell, Kendo? You almost chopped me before I turned on my cue. Tetsu wanted to complain to Kendo over her violent intervention, only to gawk with a red glow on his cheeks once again upon viewing her costume. The orange-haired girl's costume consisted of a teal short-sleeved knee-length kip-out with simple gold trimmings. Black short pants. A double-breasted corset around the waist. A loose brown belt with a gold buckle. And white-heeled navy blue boots with wide vamps. Tokage turned to her steel-color-haired friend as she thought one thing, I knew it. While she snickered over the interaction between the two. Was the only thing that exited Tetsu's mouth for the next minute or two. Kendo grew concerned over her gray-haired classmate, wondering if she hit him too hard. Tetsu. Are you alright? It's about time you maggots showed up. Everyone looks up to witness Vlad King on top of one of the observation towers linked to the training grounds. He hops off the railing, shouting in front of everyone while falling, welcome to stealth training. And lands in front of everyone with his right fist, right knee, and left foot firmly planted into the ground, kicking lots of dirt in the process. The dust quickly dissipates as anyone unlucky enough to be close to the landing coughs their lungs out. As the dust settles, everyone in Class 1B gawks at the two figures before them. To their surprise, they discover their blood-based teacher standing tall and proud alongside another teacher to his right, Present Mick. What's up, lads of Class 1B? Glad to see you can join us for the spectacle at Ground Omega. Present Mick announced as he stepped in front of Vlad King, are you ready? The whole class remained silent over the introductions, while Vlad King stared at his coworker with heavy concern, while covering both of his ears, damn, Eraserhead. How are you not deaf after hanging out with this yeller for so long? Ooh oh. Tough crowd. Anyways, as my blood bro was saying, welcome to your first day of stealth training. The silentest yet deadliest part of hero work. I can easily think of worse, Present Mick. The holographic projection of the map is displayed behind the pro heroes and high enough for everyone to see. The map took the form of a large circle with an omega symbol written on top, several red dots randomly moving within the ring, and a larger green dot at the center. In case nobody knows, here's what y'all gotta do. Ground Omega is crawling with scary robots patrolling the field. The kind that's hardwired to attack anyone in its line of sight. And hosting in the center of the grounds will be your objective. The projection zooms in to showcase a large light gray cylindrical podium containing 5 colored sticks pointing upwards. Red, blue, yellow, green, and white. More robots come into view behind the podium to better signify the challenge. The center of this stage has the most amount of robots guarding a stand with 5 colored batons, each signifying a specific team color. All you gotta do is get to the center of the field, grab your team's stick, and rush out of the field as swiftly and secretly as possible. Present Mick exclaims while comedically dancing in place. Vlad proceeds to chime in, not wanting to risk being smacked by the DJ's flying fingers, to keep the exercise interesting, and to make sure nobody is slacking off, we'll have 2 random teams of 4 enter the forest per round, and we'll keep going until all teams do the exercise at least once, with one team going twice for an extra challenge. You'll also be monitored by us in one of the watchtowers, as well as a scoring system created by the one and only Principal Nezu. Don't think a high score will get you anywhere. It's designed to tally up the total number of mistakes made per team. You'll get 1 point for every robot that spots you, 5 points if you happen to be spotted with a baton, 8 will be rewarded for each sign of environmental damage, 10 points if you leave any evidence of yourself being present in the woods, 50 points if you fail to deliver the baton outside the field on time. And 75 for every teammate left behind by the end of the challenge. Also, don't you dare think about leaving any of your comrades behind before time runs out. Try it, and your team will get 50 more points for every teammate dumb enough to commit this unforgivable act. Got it? That last part shook everyone to their core. Even if some of them weren't as good at math as the others, all of them knew that abandoning even one of their teammates would cost them greatly in the long run. Present Mick stepped in, equally terrified of the punishment, as my partner was saying, yes, leaving one of your teammates behind on a dangerous mission is a serious no-no in this line of work. Even if it's training, it's still taboo. Fortunately, there is one way to dock your score in case you get caught. Since the exercise is meant to be completed as soon as possible, every second your team has to spare after exiting this field of carnage will drop your overall score by 1 whole point. I know, we're being generous here. There's no need to thank us. The team with the lowest score at the end of each round will be declared the winners. Now, are there any questions from our colorful audience? More silence follows from everyone, be it from total understanding or complete shock. Wow. They're way quieter than Eraserhead's kids. What did you do to them, Vlad? Mick turns to look at the other teacher who gave the loud hero a thumbs up. The vocal hero wasn't quite sure what that meant, but he chose to roll with it to be safe. Alright then. Now that we're all up to speed. Get ready to draw maggots. Hey. Not cool, man. Don't steal my thunder. 2 drones carrying a closed crate of colored balls flew down in front of the heroes, signifying that the entire class must come forward and draw their lots. The teams created were as follows. Team Red, Nito Monoma, Kasate Tsuburaba, Senator Kabara and Uranjeki Shota. Team Blue, Hiryu Rin, Tageru Kamakiri, Kinoko Komori and Jirota Shishida. Team Yellow, Juzo Hananuki, Pony Tsunatori, Ryuko Yanagi and Manga Fukudashi. Team Green, Satsuna Tokage, Itsuka Kendo, Tetsutetsu and Shihai Kawaro. Team White, Ibara Shiozaki, Yasetsu Awase, Yui Kadai and Kajiro Bondo. The green, steel, and orange trio are relieved that all 3 of them are together for the exercise, or at least Tetsutetsu is, since he trusts the judgment of his other 2 friends. They soon realize that they need to search for their final member within the crowd. Fortunately, someone reached out to them first, ahem. Pardon me. Are you guys? Team Green. Prompting all 3 to turn around to witness Shihai Kawaro standing before them. The guy in question was a fairly tall young man with fluffy white hair and dull gray eyes. What stood out the most about him was his pitch black skin tone, dark enough to allow no light to reflect off of him. Even though his attire mostly consisted of a black high-collar jumpsuit, he also wore light gray wrist guards and shoes to at least show where he was standing. Kendo greets the new member, oh, yes. Hello there. You must be Kawaro, right? It's nice to meet you. While waving her hand to him as she smiles. The orange girl expected Kawaro to be a bit shy, given his loner tendencies from yesterday, but the boy's response threw her for a loop. Yeah. That is me. He then elaborated in a hushed tone while heavily blushing, oh great, I didn't know she had a crush on me. Pardon? That was all that came out of Kendo's mouth as she didn't quite hear the last part. Tokage then shoved Tetsutetsu towards the remaining teammate while telling the metal man, here, you talk to him. Tetsutetsu didn't quite understand his greenette companion's motive at the time, but agreed to the plan as he greeted Kawario. He was surprisingly easy to talk to, even though half of Kawaro's dialect consisted of dark, gothic, and edgy content. While that was going down, Tokage trotted over to Kendo, who was still reeling since her introduction to their 4th teammate. Hey, are you sure it's a good idea to have Tetsutetsu talk to him? I mean, I get he's a social guy, but he's pretty loud too, right? I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. Tetsu's dense, but he has enough wits to dial it down a notch when needed. Besides, even if it wasn't, I doubt Kawaro would listen to either of us. What is that supposed to mean, exactly? I'm not trying to scare him off, you know. Relax, Kendo. Don't take it too personally, or cover your face with your handiwork for that matter. I don't know much about our class's Prince of Darkness, but I have watched him enough times to know that he prefers to either spend time alone or with other guys. On that note, I did hear him wonder if you had a crush on him. It's kind of adorable if you ask me. The crush? Kendo blushed heavily at the idea. You're not serious, are you? I am. Anyways, social cues aside, he may be our best bet at winning the exercise. After all, his quirk lets him merge and travel within shadows. We can use it to sneak past the guards without bringing everyone too near the checkpoint. The key here is to get him to trust us without him wondering if we have ulterior motives. And I take that you don't have any ulterior motives yourself. You did call him adorable earlier. Nope. Nice try, Kendo. I know a good-looking guy when I see one, but Kawaro ain't my type. Really now? And what is your type exactly? Tokage blushed a bit at the idea as a brief silhouette of someone popped into her mind. She quickly responds with, "That's classified," and spins away from Kendo while walking towards the male duo. Kendo remains dumbfounded as she utters, "Classified? What's that supposed to entail?" Several horns go off to garner everyone's attention. Alright everyone. That's enough intro-mingling for now. Let's give a warm welcome to the first two teams of this maniacal matchup. The holographic projection appears behind the vocal hero once again with two spinning wheels on each side and a versus tag in the center. Who could it be, you may wonder? Your guess is as good as mine, folks. The wheels begin to slow down more and more, leaving everyone in anticipation. And the results are. Both wheels stop at once to signify the first two contestants that present mix shortly thereafter announces. Team Green versus Team Yellow. You heard him, lads. Anyone in those teams, line up at the start. You have 1 minute. The projection then transfers into a digital clock, showcasing the amount of time left before the round begins. All 8 members of each team gather at the marked entrance of the field. While they were lining up, a boy from Team Yellow walked over to Tokage. "Well, looks like our first rival match is about to start." Feeling nervous. The girl turned to her right to witness the one who asked her, Juzo Hananuki, the other student in Class 1B, to enter through recommendations. He was fairly tall, with pale skin, ash blonde hair, and sharp black eyes that darted at the girl. Tokage could tell that the boy was giving her a smile that resembled a mix between relaxed and confident, even though the lower half of his face was covered by a black mask with orange-colored side plating and a dark gray nose guard. As for the rest of his hero costume, he wore a black bodysuit with orange armor plating on his chest, arms, legs, and shoulders alongside a pair of orange shoes with white soles, gray front plating, and green backsides. "Oh, don't you worry your skullified face about me, Hananuki. I got the perfect plan that will blow you and the rest of your team away." The greenette smirked back as she turned her attention back to the starting line. "You better hold on to that promise, Tokage." Hananuki gave a light chuckle, be it from the nickname or the declared rivalry, "cause I don't plan on holding back on anyone. Least of all you." He then paces back to his male teammate, whose outfit looks fairly comfortable with a sweater and slacks at first, but bears more comical features thanks to the blank manga template mask and ink bottle-shaped armor pieces on his feet and chest. Since the guy has a comic bubble for a head, the design ended up looking more complete than anything. From then on, everyone was dead set on waiting for the timer to count to 0. All except Kendo, who had one last thing to say. "Tokage. I hope you know what you're doing." "Ready?" Mick announced at the watchtower's radio station. Upon hitting 0, the horns blared as the projection switched to the word start, with a timer set to 15 minutes down below. "Begin." And they're off, ladies and gents. With both students who got in on recommendations leading the charge. Both teams dash into the woods with all of Team Yellow following Hananuki to the right and everyone in Team Green following Tokage to the left. As the two teams venture further into the training grounds, several drones watch over the 8 heroes in training, while present Mick's voice dominates the broadcast. "Oh wow. It hasn't even been 10 seconds and they're already splitting off. I can't wait to see what plans they've got cooking down there." Tetsutetsu was still unsure what Tokage's strategy was, so he prompted a question, "So, care to explain what your crazy plan is? I get you and Kawaro have quirks suited for stealth, but Kendo and I don't. How the heck are we all supposed to sneak over to the center without getting caught?" "That's the neat part, Tetsu. We don't." "Huh? What do you mean by that?" "Mr. Mick said we need to grab our baton and then head back." "Yeah. I remember that, but he never mentioned we all had to be there. I'll send Kawaro to the site to grab it for us." Kendo then chimed in, "So you're telling us that your entire strategy is to send Kawaro by himself to get the baton? Please tell me that's not all there is to it." "Come on, Kendo. That's ridiculous. That's where I come into play. I'll have Kawaro hitch a ride into one of my palms while I fly him over to the spot. I'll also send one of my eyes to keep a lookout for any trouble. Meanwhile, you two are on guard duty in case any robots start peeking in our direction. But no attacking, got it? Alright. Alright. I get it. No smashing this time. Tetsu complained, not wanting to incur the splitting girl's wrath. Kendo. Alright. Sounds reasonable. I can work with that. How about you, Kurwaro? You good with the plan? Everyone pans to the ebony edgelord in question as he blushes once again while looking away from the girls. I guess I don't mind holding hands if that's all there is to it. Perfect. Tokage then spots a couple of fallen trees with plenty of leaves for coverage. Over here, guys. Let's camp here for now. Ooh-oh. Looks like Team Green is going into hiding before hunting for their objective. An unorthodox attempt, but then again, there are creaky crawlies everywhere, so I can't blame them. What do you think they're up to, Vladdy boy? They're crafty kids, but there's no way they'd run off that easily. Come on, kids, stop floundering in the dark and show the others what you can do. All four head over to the foliage, but not before covering their tracks. Afterwards, Tokage splits her left hand from her body, prompting Kurwaro to touch the floating glove and hide within it. From there, she splits off her left eye from her head and floats both pieces above the canopy and towards the center of the stage. Whoa. Looks like Tokage is sending a couple of pieces of herself after the baton. I get that she would hide in the canopies, given we have no flying bots, but wouldn't it be easier to send her whole body then? The ride was pretty short, fortunately, as there weren't any aerial enemies to contend with, as Mick said beforehand. She quickly spotted a stand in the middle of a ditch with about 3 dozen one-pointers and 2-pointers, keeping it company. She then lowers both her eye and hand behind a nearby tree, allowing Kurwaro to leap off the hand as Tokage calls on her earpiece. Alright. We're here. You know what to do, right? The boy responds by clicking on his earpiece. Yes. Copy that. I'll be back in a minute. Kurwaro then warps into the tree's shadows, using it as leverage to jump from dark spot to dark spot and sneaking past all of the guards. Whoa. I don't believe it. Tokage used her quirk to help Kurwaro sneak past all of the guards in little to no time. Now that's clever. AHA. That's how it's done, girl. Show 'em who's boss. Vlad. You do realize that no one else is here to witness this, right? Then, when all of the guards looked away for a moment, he sprouted from the shadows. He then rushes over to the stand, grabs the green baton from the holster, and stuffs the item into his suit so he doesn't drop it on the way back. Good work, Kurwaro. Now, head over to where my pieces are so we can get out of here. Tokage instructed the Shadowfeet student. On it. Kurwaro proceeds to extend his hand back down to activate his powers again. However, before he could merge back into the grass, someone shouted. Poof. Suddenly, a huge fog in the shape of katakana rolls from one direction and covers the surrounding area of the baton stand. The Shadow Walker freaked out over the move he's witnessing, hearing all of the robots panic over the smokescreen. What is the meaning of this fog? This wasn't in the fleshy lady's forecast. No idea. All units, activate your shutters. The dust is damaging to the lenses. Tokage. We got company. He tried to reach into the ground once more, hoping to at least hide within the shadow of a blade of grass, but things started to go from bad to worse. Soon enough, the ground started melting underneath him as the liquefied dirt proceeded to swallow everything from the confused robots to Kurwaro himself. Then, the ground solidified, leaving the boy trapped from the waist down within the earth. During this time, Tokage was forced to move her floating eye upwards to keep any dust out of it. She also squinted her eye, just in case her reflexes proved to be a bit too slow. With both pieces higher up in the air, she opened up her eye once more. The girl then glared towards the direction of the steamy smokescreen, discovering the two who were responsible for the mess. Juzo Hananuki and Manga Fukudashi. Ooh. Looks like Team Yellow is making a comeback with Hananuki's softening skills and Fukudashi's SFX. Now that's gotta throw a wrench into the works. Even when far away, something told Tokage she could hear her recommended rival quip, sorry. Don't say I didn't warn you. She then looks a bit to the right to see Ryoko Yanagi Wo's hero outfit, followed that of a Japanese horror movie ghost, with her pale blue long-sleeved kimono, a white fluffy hood, a black and white striped haramaki wrapped around her upper waist, a black mask covering her lower face and neck, and a pair of long black socks, fitting underneath a pair of beige Jetta. The greenette found the other girl floating to be a bit unnerving until she realized Yanagi was riding on what appeared to be a pair of horns, most likely belonging to their fourth teammate, Pony Tsunatori. Oh no. Tokage thought as she continued to stare at the greenette who hovered above the target pedestal, telepathically lifted all the remaining batons into the air, and then dropped all but the yellow one, before collecting it herself and flying back to the team. After she spent enough time gawking at the ghostly student, gritting her teeth and cursing, damn you, Hananuki. Tokage redirected her attention back to locating Kurwaro via her earpiece, realizing she had lost track of her teammate. Kurwaro. Hey. Can you hear me? Tokage. Are you still here? I am, but I can't see you anywhere in this fog. Where are you right now? I don't know. My eyes are still burning like hell down here and I don't see any shadows I can reach out to. Oh great. Okay. I can see the fog lowering from up here. Raise one of your hands and I'll come to you. Once you feel my hand, just turn on your quirk and I'll take care of the rest. Is that clear? Crystal clear. Ma'am. Good. Kaworu then does as she orders and lifts his right hand as high as he can go. Fortunately, it was enough for Tokage to recognize one of his fingers nearby. She floats her appendage over to Kaworu's hand and grabs it, prompting the shadow user to merge with her glove. Both then proceed to float back towards the safe house to regroup. Whoa, that was a close one. The stealthy members of Team Green got out of that foggy situation in no time. Can they keep this up? I told you those kids were tough. It's gonna take more than a little smoke and mirror stunt to take them down. Unfortunately, before they can make it back to the hideout, the worst case scenario occurs in Tokage's plan. Her hand goes limp and starts to fall. Her eye follows shortly thereafter, signified by its iris turning dull and cornea going opaque. To add insult to injury, both pieces descend into a creek, forcing Kaworu to ditch the hand before he drowns. Ooh, tough luck. It looks like Tokage's Splitastic quirk has reached its limit, leaving Class 1B's resident edgelord in the middle of nowhere. That's not a good situation for them. I'm sure they'll recover. It'll take more than a good soaking to pin them down. The shadow student in question was drenched, but he at least recalled the direction they were flying. He was about to make a run back to his team, only to hear mechanical whirring growing louder. Who goes there? Filthy human trash. You have no place in this sacred ground. The robots didn't spot him, but he was too far away from the trees to make a run for it. So he merged into the shadow of one of the nearby rocks before any of the mechanical guards came too close. Meanwhile, back at the hideout. Shit. What's wrong, Tokage? Did we lose Kaworu? Kendo asked the greenette. No. Worse. I lost track of Kaworu and the timer for my hand and eye just expired. Damn it. I knew I should have recalled my pieces earlier. She proceeded to facepalm herself with her remaining hand before turning on her earpiece to contact the missing teammate. Kaworu? Can you hear me? Are you alright? Yeah. I'm fine. Thanks. A bunch of robots closed in on where I'm at, but I managed to find some cover under a rock before they spotted me. Okay. Good to know. Do you see any nearby landmarks we can use to track you? Well, I know there's a creek nearby and about 8 other robots scanning the area. Sorry. That's all I can offer. Alright. We're coming over. Stay where you are. Tokage. Did you mean to call Kaworu under the call everyone tab? Tokage then hung up the radio in total shock as she turned over to Kendo, who finished scouting through the leaves for any guards. No. Not really. Wait. Where's Tetsu? Tetsu? Now that you mention it, I haven't heard him for a. Hold up. Why is Tetsu running out of the hideout? Does he have a plan to save Kaworu? Both were close enough to hear President Mick's announcement for Tetsu's disappearance, leaving both to wonder, oh no. Where did he run off to? They then hear a steely shout in the distance, hold on Kaworu. We're coming. Both girls look outside in the direction of the noise to then spot Tetsu dash over to find his shadow-feet friend. Idiot. You're going to get spotted that way. Both girls holler in unison. Quick. Let's go after him. Kendo announced. Right. Hold on tight. I'll give you a lift. Tokage nods to the idea as she divides her body in half from the waist, wraps her arms around her friend, and flies in the direction Tetsu was dashing towards. I guess not. I don't know what happened between the three, but it looks like somebody decided to go rogue. Mick. Remind me to yell at the kid after the round is over. You do realize this thing is still on, right? Whoops. All of the students outside spawn a comedic sweat drop on their heads, be it confused or scared at Tetsu's upcoming punishment. One of the robots in the area, a one-pointer, turned to the rock Kaworu was under. That's peculiar. My database doesn't recall rocks having such misshapen shadows. The boy starts sweating, wondering if he should ditch the rock for another piece of cover. What are you? A man or a mouse? Show yourself, human. The mech's limb drew closer to the shadow student, its metallic fingers turning the rock's darker side towards the sun, forcing Kaworu to traverse away from the rays. Realizing the rock spinning isn't doing it any good, the robot's camera lens began to close its shutters more, implying its frustration, resistance is futile. It then winds one of its fists backwards, preparing to smash the rock instead. You will be terminated. It rockets its massive fist towards the hiding spot and then. Smash. Before the mechanical beast's fist touched the rock, Tetsu showed up in time to demolish its hand with one steely punch. The robot pointed its camera towards the intruding student who activated his quirk by transforming his skin into steel. Intruder alert. The damaged mech announces before Tetsu retorts, "Nobody messes with my friends. You hear me?" He then throws another punch, this time right into the mechanical monstrosity's beady red eye, obliterating its head. The rest of the body falls backward shortly thereafter, before breaking down further into scrap metal and crackling circuit boards. "Who goes there?" says one of the robots on the other side of the rock. "You just said that already. Don't you sass me, X-27. There is a human on our grounds." "Ah. You are correct. Attention all units within 50 meters of our signal, come forth for battle and destroy the pesky human." Tetsu squares up his stance, ready to brawl with a bunch of bots, eyes tightening and fists trembling over what he had done. "Sorry Tokage. I know you didn't want me to fight, but I had no other choice. This is how I save others." He looks back up at the mechanical mob and charges forth while hollering, "Come at me you bucketheads." He proceeds to smash all of the robots with his steel quirk at full throttle. Cameras shattered, circuit snapped, and armor torn to shreds with his bare hands. The number of robots he destroyed turned into double digits before the remaining half of the team came over, but by then, Tetsu was at his limits. His quirk was about to shut down. One last robot got the jump on the metal boy and smacked him from behind, shutting off his quirk entirely. He tried to get back up, only for the mech to deck him in the face and pin him by his chest with one of its gigantic hands. A valiant effort, human. But this is as far as you go. It proceeded to press so hard, Tetsu felt his ribs begin to crack while he forced himself not to scream in pain through gritted teeth. "I would have loved to feast on your liver with fava beans and a bottle of Chianti, but my overlord requires all prisoners to be taken alive." The robot proceeds to wind up a massive punch with its other hand, "Say good night, you pest." Tetsu braces for impact, trying his best to activate his quirk one last time. Suddenly, the punch stops within an inch of his face. The robot backs off of the metal boy as it writhes in pain, trying to reach for something at the base of its neck. "What is the meaning of this? Get off me. You pesky runt." It wasn't until the robot turned its back that the metal student was able to recognize someone with a black body and white hair riding its back. Turns out, while Tetsu was fighting all of the robots, Kawaro escaped the rock's shadow to take a breather. By the time he got his bearings, he noticed his steely classmate was about to be put down, so he rushed behind the robot and latched onto the shadow of its neck in an attempt to cross its wires within the shadows. It was a valiant effort, but unfortunately, the boy was so tired that the robot easily shook him off, forcing him to tumble in the grass. "I should have expected you would come out of hiding to save your comrade, typical human error. I will eradicate." The robot fell into monologue again, only to be cut short when a gigantic hand dropped out of the sky to crush the mechanical monstrosity into a metallic pancake. Tetsu leaned back up and noticed both of his remaining teammates had arrived. Kendo turned around as she shrank her fist back to normal to see and run towards her metallic friend, Tetsu. She picked the metal boy off the ground while checking his vitals. Tetsu, meanwhile, greeted her in a hoarse voice, "Hey Kendo. What were you thinking? Are you trying to get us caught?" "Sorry, it was the only way to save Kawaro on time. Those metal punks were about to expose him from the rock he was hiding under. I didn't know if he could fight back or not, but I had to do something. It would be very unmanly not to." Kendo wanted to critique Tetsu some more, but given he was willing to step up for a guy he met recently, left her smiling more than anything. "Well, I can't say I disagree with this side of you." "Hey. You two. What are you doing? We've got to bail, now." Tokage exclaimed while wrapping Kawaro's arm over her shoulder. "Sorry Tokage. I just checked Tetsu and he looks too injured to walk. We'll have to carry them from now on. Although I'm not sure how long we have. 1 minute and 30 seconds left, folks. Better head back to the finish line while it's still fresh." Kendo produced a sweat drop. "Well, this is bad timing." Tokage felt her knees begin to buckle as she subconsciously dropped Kaido. Her hand grew sweaty, her breath shortened, and her senses blurred. There is not enough time. She soon dropped down onto all fours. "I can't make another plan fast enough. Not like this. Not like this." "Tokage. Are you alright? Tokage." The girl heard someone's voice call out to her, but was so distraught that the voice felt more like warbling than anything. Flashback. Back at hero training yesterday, everyone cheered over the last round. The villain team, Tokage and Bondo, defeated their opponents in record time. Despite everyone's cheers, only one thing remained relevant the following minute. "I was too reckless." Tokage shouted. "That's right, young Tokage." All Might elaborated. "Though you are the MVP of your round by embracing the challenge as the villain, as well as confronting the heroes with an airtight strategy right away, you were still reliant on one plan at the end of the day. Most heroes and villains will never make that mistake. They often create more than a few strategies and will even improvise more to get the drop on their opponent. The girl looked down at the ground with her fists clenched, understanding what the teacher meant. Think of it this way. You exploited the other team's expectations by confronting them head-on rather than defending the weapon as they expected. If they anticipated both you and Bondo to ambush them within the first level or had sent someone to pursue you from the rooftops, both of you would have been captured and the heroes would be free to recollect the now undefended weapon. Tokage slouched more over her performance, her eyes slowly dimming. She got to showcase her skills as an upcoming hero in front of the #1 hero of Japan, and here he is, tearing apart her entire work faster than an overstacked Jenga tower. All Might noticed this and placed his left hand on her shoulder while kneeling until he was eye to eye with her. Still, at the end of the day, you got your partner to trust you in an all-out gambit no one anticipated and pulled through in the end, hero or not. You are a clever girl, embrace it. Brains such as yours are hardly seen in the hero industry. Keep improving and you'll eventually craft plans on the fly that no one can predict. Her eyes rekindled at the gigantic hero's words as she straightened herself up for the symbol of peace. The hero, meanwhile, stood up to continue his congratulatory speech, that being said, well done, everybody. You've earned passing remarks for going plus ultra today. And with that out of the way, onto the next round. Everyone in Class 1B cheered over All Might's speech, yet Tokage remained motionless over the hero's words. I can craft plans that no one can predict. Back to the present. Team Yellow has escaped Ground Omega. Well done, kids. Tokage didn't understand why her mind suddenly went back to that time yesterday. But whatever the reason, something hit her, guys. Wait. I have an idea. The rest of the team panned over to her like she had grown a third eye. Tetsu was the first to respond. Huh? What are you talking about? You're not going crazy, are you? I'm serious, guys. I got something that might work. Tokage cheered, the light now returning to her remaining eye. Hey. Kurwaro. Do you think you can use your quirk one last time? I think it's doable. My head is starting to fade into darkness, again. Kurwaro responded, feeling a bit dizzy from overusing his quirk so much. Perfect. Here's the plan, guys. 1 minute left. Hurry up already. A short time later, everyone proceeds to follow the strategy as follows. First, everyone will rush over to a shady section of the woods so Kurwaro can use black at full speed without having to turn for any manner. Next, Kendo will use Big Fist to secure Tetsu so he doesn't get more injured, while her other hand will latch onto Kurwaro, who, in turn, will partially submerge himself and dash across the woods. Finally, when the three of you are fast enough, I'll grab Kendo by the legs and lift her off the ground so that any locomotion we have depends entirely on Kurwaro's quirk. The plan worked perfectly as the whole team flew across the shadows of Ground Omega in a makeshift parasail formation. Most of Team Green were excited over the amount of distance they were clearing. Kendo, on the other hand, though excited, was worried about one thing. I hope nobody thinks we look foolish doing this stunt. Little did the Big Fist girl know, Present Mick announced to the rest of Class 1B, including Team Yellow, boy. Do they look foolish. All four made a mad dash for the finish line, no longer caring about the robotic guards. As soon as the exit was in sight, everyone in Team Green kicked it into high gear to make it to the finish line in time. And then. Beep. Whoa-ee. What a close one, everybody. Team Green escaped Ground Omega's clutches in the nick of time. What a killer scene to conclude round 1. All four members of Team Green escaped on time. However, since they were moving so fast, all four collapsed and tumbled all over the grass. They were all coated in dirt and scuff marks by the time they stopped rolling. Everywhere. Hananuki walks over to the rival team, mainly towards Tokage. Hey. You good? Hananuki asks as he gives her a hand. TCH. Never better. The girl slyly remarks as she latches with her remaining hand and is pulled up. You didn't think I was going to keep you all waiting, did ya? He grinned at his classmates' mannerisms, though it was hard to tell at first since he took off his mask earlier to reveal the lipless lower half of his face, hardly. Though it seems like you didn't come back in one piece this time. Ha ha, that's hilarious, Hananuki. I'll be fine. My stamina's shot though, so I'll need to munch on something to grow back my missing parts. Speaking of, did you get any snacks while you were here? The skull-faced student shook his head while waving his hand. Sorry, pal. Not this time. Tokage pouted while looking away and crossing her arms, bonehead. He wasn't sure whether she accidentally split off a section of her brain with her quirk or not, hence her munchy state. Either way, Hananuki was glad he averted the subject from the match. Both Vlad King and Present Mick exit the tower shortly thereafter, just as the remaining members of Team Green get back on their feet. Alright, kids. Now that both of our teams are back out of the ring. It's time to announce the score. The projection then shifts to a scoreboard with randomly generated numbers underneath the two names. And the winner is. The scores kept spinning for the next 10 seconds. Once the scores calmed, the DJ radio hero announces. A tie. Everyone goes blank as both teams earned the same score, 52. President Mick proceeds to shift his shades up and down while looking at his notes. This can't be right. Vlad, am I seeing things again, or did we miscalculate something? Vlad crosses both his arms and reassures his coworker, nope. You got the numbers right. They did score a draw. The blood hero pans over to both recommended students. I expect nothing less from my students. Well done. As Hananuki gives Vlad King a thumbs up while Tokage looks away slightly flushed, the board proceeds to list the various penalties. Team Yellow Robot Spottings. 19 Baton Spottings. 8 Env. DMG. 6 Hero Evidence. 2 Delivery Penalty. 0 Hero Abandonment Penalty. 0 Timer Bonus. -75 Total Score. 52. Team Green Robot Spottings. 32 Baton Spottings. 0 Env. DMG. 0 Hero Evidence. 2 Delivery Penalty. 0 Hero Abandonment Penalty. 0 Timer Bonus. 0 Total Score. 52. While everybody was asking both teachers what happened and where they could improve, except for 4 people. Tetsu and Kawara were escorted to Recovery Girl's office due to the number of injuries they received earlier. As for the other two, Hananuki and Tokage stared at the screen in awe, recognizing where both teams had gone wrong. Hananuki smirked at the score, well, I was hoping for a close match with you, but I didn't expect it to end in a draw. Tokage scoffed at the idea, I find that hard to believe. Are you sure you're not getting soft on me after splotching parts of the arena with your quirk? I doubt it. Fukudashi was a bit nervous at the start and ended up activating his quirk at random times during the journey. So you blame your comical companion then? That's not very leader-like of you. Hardly. In fact, we played it to our strengths by having him whoosh. Everybody passed the guards. It was a pretty fun ride, all things considered. Yanagi did too, since she described the move as spooky. You should try it sometime. I'll take a rain check on the idea. Thanks. President Mick gathered everyone's attention once more after answering questions with Lad for a minute. Alright, lads. Now that all questions are taken care of, let's. Suddenly, before the next round could commence, somebody in white armor minus the helmet rushed over to the two teachers. Present Mick. Vlad King. We have a situation at the USJ. Vlad King panned over to recognize the figure. It was Tenya Iida, the newly appointed class rep of Class 1A. What is it, boy? Can you elaborate? Iida straightened himself in front of the blood-themed hero. Of course, sir. We have. Not in front of my class, you dolt. Whatever is going on, keep it between me and President Mick if you can. Vlad King pinched his nose, not wanting Eraserhead's model student to spook his students. Iida nodded in response as he drew in closer to whisper the situation to both teachers. As soon as both heroes heard that the USJ was under attack by villains with Eraserhead and 13 suffering injuries to protect the rest of the students, their pupils shrank. Vlad whispers, how many teachers know about this? Iida responds via whisper, all of them, you're the only ones left I had to reach out to. I see. Head back to the UA entrance. We'll be right behind you. And so, the White Knight student nods at the request and rushes out of sight towards the desired location. The vocal hero proceeds to announce. Change of plans, Class 1B. Due to technical difficulties elsewhere, Stealth class is cancelled for the time being. Ooh, was the response they got from the entire group. But that's not fair. Only 8 of us took the exercise. How is everyone else supposed to keep up? Sorry, kids. As much as we want everyone to join in the activity, your safety is our #1 priority. Everyone, get changed and head back to Class 1B's homeroom at once. Do I make myself clear? No. No, Mr. Vlad King. Sir. Good. Now get moving, maggots. Everyone proceeded to do as they were told, as both Vlad King and President Mick rushed out to rescue the hostages of the USJ. Monoma proceeded to comment, such a shame. It appears the Class 1 has proven themselves more troublesome than I could have ever imagined. They are, after all, a class full of idiots, but was cut off after Kendo knocked the fanatic student out cold with another neck chop. Meanwhile, only Tokage remained behind for a bit as she turned to face the horizon, where she recalled the USJ was located. Out of all the students, she was the only one who listened to the conversation between the teachers and the boy, whom she assumed was from Class 1A, given his suit. The girl was ticked that the rest of 1B's teams didn't get to participate today. But at the same time, she felt just as bad for 1A, who was stuck fighting a bunch of villains. She then walks back to the rest of her class as one thought crosses her mind. Please be safe, Midoriya. All of Class 1B went back to the homeroom as instructed. They tried not to think too much about the cancelled event and instead focused on other topics to keep themselves occupied. Kendo remained on standby near Monoma in case he tried to pull something. Yanagi was having the quietest conversation in history with two other girls. One with cerulean eyes and a black bob cut and the other with green eyes and vines for hair. Meanwhile, Hananuki was chatting with Tsunatori, Class 1B's resident American exchange horse-themed student, given her long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and equestrian legs. Though, the girl didn't quite fit the stereotype perfectly, as there were a pair of tall horns protruding from the top of her head. And Kurwaro, who has just been released from Recovery Girl's office for scrapes and bruises, got to chat with Oase. The only one who didn't go into small talk was Fukudashi, who was resting his voice after using his quirk so much during training. The comic-themed classmate also took the time to nap, given that the teachers weren't here. He raised his head off his desk to witness a platter of sandwiches and cracker wraps all over a desk in front of him, Tokage's, to be precise. Where did she get all that food? Did somebody tip her off about a snack bar? Little did anyone know, the girl discovered a concession stand during the trip back. She used her spare time to snatch as much grub as she could carry to help speed up her regeneration. It was a comedic sight to witness, but Tokage didn't care since the task helped her grow back both her missing eye and hand. The speakers then go off, attention all students of UA, due to technical difficulties, all classes are dismissed for today. I repeat, all classes are dismissed for today. Please exit the campus and return home in an orderly fashion. Half the class groaned at the announcement, including Tokage, who complained as she pounded both fists on her desk, seriously? At least give us details. Unfortunately, Akatsu Sando was stuffed in her mouth at the time, so her response came out as, Saroso. Araja buff deef hills. Everyone panned to Tokage, who stared back at them after swallowing her food. What? It appears that our attempts to grow stronger have been thwarted. Monoma chuckled, no matter. This is but a minor setback. Just you wait. We will have our opportunity to rise again and defeat that class full of idiots. The boy then slipped out the door before anyone could interject, cackling at the top of his lungs. Damn it. Kendo thought, I can't believe I let him rant about class 1 at this time. I knew I shouldn't have turned my back on him again. Alright. You heard them, everyone. Let's exit the school this time in an orderly fashion. Okay. Everyone proceeds to exit the door to head home, either in groups or all alone. An hour later, the entirety of Class 1B left the campus. All except for Kendo and Tokage, who opted to wait for Tetsu outside the nurse's office, who was still being treated for his injuries. So? Do you think he's gonna pull through? He'll be fine, Kendo. I've seen the guy take on worse before. Worse? The guy took a beating after fighting dozens of robots. How are you not worried about him? I am worried about him. Though not as much as you are right now. What? Are you having the hots for Class 1B's Man of Steel? Huh? Kendo freaked out over the green-haired girl's comment. What are you talking about? Oh? Don't be coy with me, Miss Rep. Tokage cooed, I've seen how you've been eyeing him for a while. You even took the time to check on him more than once, today. Yeah, as a friend. You sure about that? I can pull a few strings to make something better happen. Setsuna smirked and winked at her classmate. Kendo was unable to respond to the offer. Her cheeks turned completely red, steam came out of her ears, and she enlarged both of her hands to cover her face. Fortunately, the event didn't last too long as Tetsu slid open the door as he walked out, now donning his school uniform and several bandages wrapped around his arms, neck, torso, and forehead. Tetsu? Huh? The boy responded as he wasn't aware that some of his classmates were nearby while stretching his neck. He turned his head over to them. Oh. Hey guys. Don't you hey guys us, you metalhead. You've been out cold since the stealth match. Tokage angrily exclaimed. Right. Sorry about that. At least I'm all better now. Just had a few cracked ribs patched up thanks to Recovery Girl. Although. The boy proceeded to yawn, I am not gonna get used to that granny's kisses. I need to lie down again after that. Everyone remained silent for a few seconds before Tetsu broke the tension. Suo. What did I miss? Tokage was about to answer, only for Kendo to speak up first. A lot. One of UA's facilities, the USJ, was attacked recently. Thanks to that, the school cancelled the rest of the day for everyone. We were waiting for you to be discharged before heading home together. You guys took time out of your day to wait for me. Tetsu exclaimed with tears coming out of his eyes, that's so manly. Both girls stared in disbelief at the masculine compliment. The boy suddenly recalled the former part of Kendo's answer and asked in pure rage, wait. UA was attacked. Who was it? Let me at them. We're fine, Tetsu. Nobody in our class was hurt. Class 1A was the one that got attacked. 1A? Well, that would explain the kid in bed. His leg and hand looked pretty messed up. His? The greenette wondered, what did he look like? Did he have any unique features? Features? The steel student was puzzled over the green girl's curiosity, but then put one of his hands under his chin to think of what he could remember. He was pretty plain looking, but I do recall him having some green hair and freckles. Why do you ask? Her eyes widened upon hearing Tetsu's description, on no reason. She scratched the back of her head, not wanting to be interrogated for her latest answers. Tokage then grouped both of her classmates and pushed them down the halls. Why don't you two go on ahead? I'll catch up in a minute. A minute? Both classmates questioned. What could be so important that you need a minute? Kendo followed up. Don't worry about it. I just realized I have one last thing I need to take care of before leaving. I'll meet you two at the entrance. Okay, then. Well, don't keep us waiting for too long. The orange-haired girl added. Wouldn't even dream of it. But both classmates now out of sight, Tokage looked both ways before coming closer to Recovery Girl's door. Before she could knock on it, though, her phone started ringing in one of her pockets. She pulls out the device to check the screen, revealing the word mom before her. Hoping the event won't take long, she heavily sighed before hitting the answer button. Yes, hello. Setsuna. Where are you right now? I received an alert that UA was attacked a couple of hours ago. I'm fine, Mom. I'm still in UA. There's no damage here. It was just an attack in one of the outer facilities. Okay, that's good to know. Anyways, I need you to head home right away. I just got called in to take up another late shift and won't be back home until later. I understand. Just need to take care of something real quick. Don't give me the something real quick excuse, young lady. There were villains involved in the attack today. Setsuna sweated at the answer. The description of the group included somebody with a rare warp quirk. Nobody knows where they are, and I'm not waiting for them to attack anyone on the school grounds, least of all you. But Mom. No buts. If you have something to do there, you can do it another day. Understand? Fine. Tokage hung up on the call, threw her hands up in the air, and screamed, "Gaya!" before storming off to reunite with her friends. Recovery Girl's office. Shortly after the 1B students left the vicinity of the nurse's office, the two remaining patients began to stir. The first one to do so was All Might. He wasn't in his strong superhero form everyone was familiar with, so he currently looked more like a gangly old man with medium blonde hair and two groups of long bangs surrounding his face. At around eye level, part of his face looked sunken in and almost black and slowly opened a pair of bright blue eyes. He first turned left towards the other patient, Izuku Midoriya, and then to the right to see the UA nurse, Recovery Girl, a short old woman wearing a white lab coat over a red, white, and yellow dress, with an open pink helmet bearing a grape-colored visor and a syringe pin, holding a netted bun in place. The elderly woman in question spoke first. Well, I guess I won't scold you for him being back here, since it wasn't your fault. All Might responded in a faint breath while Midoriya opened his eyes. I can't be sure yet, but I think I shortened my time limit again with that fight. I hope I can at least still hold the form for an hour. I'm so sorry. The boy finally turned to the blonde teacher, feeling bad for his condition. All Might sat up in his bed, showcasing all of the bandages wrapped around his torso. Well, no use worrying. These things happen. At around the same time they finished, the office door slid open, with a tall, well-groomed man entering the doorway. He was wearing a tan overcoat with a matching fedora over a dress shirt, green necktie, dark slacks, and matching dress shoes. Excuse me, the man introduced himself while removing his fedora, smiling when he spotted who he came to see, better showcasing his short hair and rectangular eyes, both of which were black. Hi All Might. Been a while. All Might coughed up some blood upon hearing his hero name. He expected some visitors, but not this guy. What the hell? I didn't know that you were investigating. Whoa, All Might. It's okay, he's seeing you like this? Midoriya questioned. Oh, yeah, it's fine. This guy's alright, he reassured. Namasa Tsukauchi, my best friend on the police force. He's legit. I trust him. That's quite an introduction, Tsukauchi started as he approached All Might's bedside. Sorry to cut to the chase, but we could really use any information you might have. Hold on. Before all that, tell me all of the students are okay. And is our eraser head and 13? Toshinori inquired. He needed to know so he could rest easy for today. Not counting this boy, the only student injuries were scrapes, and both of the teachers are in stable condition right now. Relaxed, Tsukauchi said. Both All Might and Izuku let out a heavy sigh in relief. That's good to hear. All Might continued to calm down. Tsukauchi then jumped in with his praises. If you heroes hadn't risked your lives, the students would never have made it. You three saved that entire class of kids today. All Might didn't want to count out the other members of Class 1 after hearing that. That's not it, Tsukauchi. Those students also risked their lives and fought just as hard as us. Thank you, All Might. The Greenet gave his thoughts, trying his best not to tear up. There's never been a group of first years who experienced a real fight like this so early in their training. They not only survived, but learned what it means to be a pro hero. Those villains made a big mistake attacking them. All Might then stared at the setting sun to emphasize his point as the detective nodded at his words. This class is strong. They will persevere no matter what happens. His words shook everyone, though the detective only nodded his head, expecting such a speech from his friend. Mark my words, my friend. They will become great heroes. Midoriya then looked at his unbandaged right hand and closed it into a fist. He then turned to the number one hero, who gave him a thumbs up for his efforts, leaving the boy even more motivated as he stared out at the window. The detective also stared outside before returning his gaze to the blonde hero. Well, that's good to hear you have a lot of faith in your students. Now that their safety has been verified. Let's begin, shall we? Of course. What would you like to know, old friend? Let's start with the leading villain, or rather, the one with the disintegration quirk. What have you learned about him? That's a good question. All Might pondered. There was no telling how many questions both he and his protege would have to answer, but neither of them seemed to mind, fortunately. Meanwhile, at the Saitama district. The rest of the walk board the green-haired girl. She had some small talk with Kendo and Tetsutesu before they all went their separate ways. Starting with Kendo, as she took the train to the Chiba district, Tetsutetsu left shortly thereafter, as despite living in the same prefecture as her, his family lived in a different neighborhood. The Greenet now stood before a mid-sized modern suburban house, with a flower and zen garden surrounding the front entrance, and her family name etched in kanji at the gate. Tokage thought no one was home at the time, but she rang the doorbell, just in case. I'm home. Wayage. The girl produced a comedic sweat drop on the side of her head as the echoes of a surprised man, clanking metal, and falling boxes resonated within the home. She tried not to think too much of it as she reached for the handle, only for the front door to be yanked wide open, revealing a middle-aged guy a bit taller than Setsuna, wearing a pale green shirt with both sleeves rolled up above the elbows, auburn slacks. A silver nama tag on the upper left side of his chest reading Hatsumi Tokage in kanji, and a dark necktie tied horrible wrong as its tip pointed low enough to reach the zipper fly. What stood out even more to the girl was that the man was wearing a cardboard box over his head with a dinosaur face painted over the front. Who goes there? We're closed. If you want an appointment, then come back tomorrow. Setsuna released a visible sigh at the scene before her. Calm down, Dad. It's just me. Setsuna. The man took off the box on his head to reveal the contents of his face. Wavy musk green hair with several gray streaks mostly tied in a loose man bun with 8 locks dangling on the front and sides of his head. A dark green soul patch, sharp dusky green eyes and sharper teeth like his daughter, large round glasses with dark green frames, and several wrinkles around his eyes and forehead. To complete the look, he also had a couple of grease marks across his forehead, pointy nose, and one of his cheeks. Guess he forgot to wash his face, again. Sorry about that, I wasn't expecting anyone at this time. Come on in. The girl followed suit as she entered the house to take off her shoes, while the man closed the door after her. So? What brings you here? Aren't you supposed to be in UA? School's cancelled. One of their facilities had some trouble, so everyone had to bail early. Oh. Why, you're not hurt, are you? I'm fine, Dad. I didn't get hurt from the attack. An attack? You don't seem too thrilled about it, though. Because the other hero class of my year got hurt. How can I not be mad about it? Other hero class? Oh. You must mean class 1A. My bad. I wasn't referring to the facility. I meant the part about leaving early. What happened, exactly? Oh well, there was. An electronic beeping suddenly resonated from the kitchen, catching both Greenets off their guard. Hatsumi straightened his posture, now with his lenses fully white, as he rubbed the back of his head. Whoops. Almost forgot I left the kettle running. Why don't we talk about it at dinner? As he marched over to the kitchen. Sure. Sounds good. Setsuna was a bit annoyed at her father getting so easily distracted, but relieved that she didn't have to answer right away. She then followed her father to the kitchen, walking past several photos on the wall, mostly of the rest of the family, with a larger one around the middle. The dinner Hatsumi had in mind for the two of them was super plain. A bowl of seafood-flavored instant ramen, some rice crackers, and a cup of matcha for each person. Why do you always go for the instant stuff? Last I checked, you know how to cook, right? Don't be silly, my little Sets. This brand is the best and easy to make at any time. Besides, even if I wanted to, we don't have any holidays this week, or even guests for that matter. What's the point of working harder when working smarter pays off every time? The father answered before returning to slurp some more noodles. The girl couldn't bring herself to argue about it, given that their mindsets are relatively similar. I guess that's true. She then went back to finishing her food. But enough about me. You admitted you didn't enjoy leaving early today and got worried for class 1A. What happened? Setsuna blushed a bit about the thought as she finished swallowing more food. The girl was struggling to come up with the right words, so she started stroking her hair to calm herself. Well. You see. There was this boy from one I met at school. The boy? Hatsuumi's face went dark as his glasses started to glow brightly while leaning closer. Was he hitting on you? What? No. Don't be ridiculous, Dad. The girl facepalmed over her dad's cliched instinct to protect her. He's not a flirt. He's not. The father questioned as he leaned back on his chair. His face was no longer darkened, but the glasses were still white alongside the rest of his appearance, turning cartoonishly simple. No. He's a nice guy. I mean, he's pretty meek and panicky, but was easy to talk to, given he asked about my quirk for a bit. Not to mention, he has a personal collection of handwritten hero notes. If anything, he enjoys UA and everything it has to offer. Ah. That's cool. How did you meet him, then? I met the guy at today's lunch break. We chatted for a bit after we bumped into each other, at least until I had to go back to class. I planned to talk to him again after school, but then the school drop happened and we had to leave. The only thing I got to hear about him since then was that he got roughed up from the attack and only because Tetsu had to get patched up at the nurse's office earlier today. I wanted to wait a bit to at least check in to see how he's doing, but no. Mom had to step in and ordered me to go home. That's pretty messed up. I can see why you're so torn up about it. Well, duh. It's not like I wasn't going to stay at his place, but Mom. She just. Why the hell does she always get in the way? The girl demanded through clenched fists and gritted teeth. Sets, dear. Your mother is only trying to protect you because she loves you. Her job doesn't allow her to see us that often, so it's not like she knows what you're going through all the time. I know. Sorry. The girl looks down, feeling bad that she yelled at her father, who only wanted to talk to her. The man was taken aback at first, however, seeing the gloomy face his little girl was making, his expression turned from fear to pity. He then detaches one of his hands, letting the dismembered limb walk itself across the table, run along Setsuna's arm, and rest on her shoulder to squeeze it. The female greenette took notice as she faced the split-off hand and then her parent. Setsuna, I understand it doesn't feel that way to you. Your mother can be. A lot sometimes. I get it. She's stubborn, blunt, and cold to the point that it seems that she doesn't care about anyone. She's not the best at showing love to others, even I struggle to understand her sometimes, but that doesn't mean she isn't trying. Just give her some time. She wants you to be happy just as much as I do. The girl remained there in silence, uncertain if she could respond to what he had said earlier. She then glanced at the wall loaded with family photos filled with dozens of memories within them. They were all given a thorough look, but the one that caught her attention the most was a mid-sized frame containing a picture of the entire family. Setsuna herself, albeit at least a few years younger than now and with blonde hair. Her dad with fewer gray hairs. A tall, slender middle-aged woman with long moss green hair and black eyes wearing a standard police uniform. And a high school girl about the mother's height but a couple inches shorter with long, wavy, lush green hair tied back in a ponytail, black eyes, sharp teeth, and dark green rectangular glasses. The girl huffed the moment she stared at the main photo. Noticing the persistent plight, Hatsuumi decides to change the subject to something else. The man's severed hand leaps off the girl's shoulder and walks to the center of the table before turning its point of severance to the host. He then casually reattaches his hand before walking to open a nearby drawer containing several card decks and board games. He spots a deck of Uno cards with a Jurassic Park theme and carries it to the table. Since the others are out for today, how about a card game? Just the two of us? I don't know. Oh. Wait here. I almost forgot. The man exclaimed before rushing back into the kitchen. Several clanks and bangs followed suit during his time in the pantry. Setsuna could only stare in disbelief, uncertain if she should check if he had hurt himself again or not. Before she could leave her seat, though, the guy came back out to plop in front of her, a large red, white, blue, and yellow bag of crackers titled Dynamites, Jumbo Edition with several dinosaur-shaped crackers with different hairstyles of popular pro heroes covering the front alongside smaller text announcing, "I am here in Dino formation. Your mom and sis aren't around, so we can have this whole bag all to ourselves. What do you say?" Setsuna snickered at her dad's means of bribery, knowing full well this was her favorite brand. "Alright. Let's go, old man. There we go. That's my girl. Choosing to go beyond plus ultra like the UA student you are." The father exclaims as he rubs the top of the girl's head with one hand. Hey. Cut it out. Do you have any idea how long it takes to do my hair? Nope. And it doesn't matter. I'm still going to coddle my little girl. I'm 15, Dad. Not little. The girl's eyes go sharp and white while the father chuckles at his daughter's expression. After washing some dishes, Setsuna heads to her room to change out of her uniform into more comfortable attire. Namely, a pale yellow t-shirt with a green cartoon dinosaur print, a pair of neon pink sweatpants with a burgundy racing stripe on the sides, and thulian pink slippers. Meanwhile, Hatsumi sets the table up for gaming, which went surprisingly well as he split off both of his hands to shuffle the cards, while the rest of his body set aside some of the tableware without stumbling or breaking anything. Upon setting everything up, they played Uno for several chaotic rounds while scarfing down the entire bag of hero-themed dinosaur crackers. Each round lasted for quite a while, for despite her tactical genius, her dad was one of the only people Setsuna could never overcome with dirty tricks or over-the-top strategies. They then settled down by watching one of the pre-Quirk movies about a guy armed with a shield joining the army to fight an evil organization in World War II, as the girl thought back on her day. Not exactly how I wanted things to end. Oh, well. It's not like it's the last time I'll ever see the guy. Hopefully, I run into him again soon. -7 p.m. back at UA. Night fell on the school with Midoriya back in his school uniform. Both his leg and hand were bandaged still, but he could move around just fine. Good night. Thanks so much for your help. My pleasure. Be careful on your way home. Yes ma'am. He then rushed towards the main entrance, given that it was now nighttime. What a day. I hope my mom isn't too worried that I'm not back yet. He finishes his journey to the main steps of the brick pathway. Despite how late it was, Uraraka and Iida stood waiting for him near the benches. Their faces lit up upon noticing their friend. Deku? You're here. The brunette jumped up in excitement. Izuku's eyes glistened with life as he joined the pair to walk down the hill on their way to the train station together. It was good news that the trains operated late that night, so no one had to stay at UA. He then waved goodbye to the Gravity Girl and Speedster as he boarded the line headed to his family's apartment. The rest of the trip home didn't take long as UA was in the same prefecture as his home, so he only had to walk for a few minutes to reach his destination. His mother was worried sick that he came home late tonight since the announcement, but was able to assure her that he's alright and that nobody got hurt. Fortunately, his explanation was enough to calm her down as the two had dinner together before going back to his room. Unfortunately for the boy, despite his optimism, his troubles were only beginning. Since the event at the USJ, the whole staff agreed to cancel class for the next day while they discussed the attack led by the League of Villains. As far as they know, the group consisted of 72 common thugs, a brutish monster named Nomu, a warping villain, and a disintegrating guy wearing way too many hands. They could only get a read on the thugs and Nomu after some sleuthing. Unfortunately, for the remaining villains who escaped, they couldn't find any records of the two individuals, probably because they had acquired false identities. Regardless, they agreed to increase the security for good measure. Their search for the last two villains will take far longer than any of them had hoped. 2 days later, Class 1A. Everyone returned to school the following day from what the news is now dubbing the USJ incident. Some found it tough to unwind after a horrifying experience despite the break. Even though they were teenagers eager to become professional heroes, none of them expected to face a life or death situation within the first week. Their victory took a toll on them, both physically and mentally. All of one has spent the start of homeroom discussing the incident and the amount of press the news media gave to the attack. Some developed a boost of confidence from the headway they made, ready to tackle whatever hell of schoolwork or lifework that would come today. Others, well, let's just say they were still camera shy. Suddenly, the clock ticked to 8:24 a.m. a minute before the start of their first period. Within that moment, Iida rushed from his seat to the podium for one announcement. Attention. Homeroom class is about to begin. Everyone, stop talking and take your seats. We're all sitting, one redeed corrected. Yeah, you're the only one standing, another student with round dispenser-shaped elbows remarked. Iida quickly sat back down, fully embarrassed over the irony he had committed. Dang. Don't sweat it. Uraraka consoled behind him. Hey, Sue, a nearly pink girl with horns, leaned back towards her classmate, Sai Asui, without attempting to fall off her chair. Who do you think is going to teach class today? No idea, Ashido. Last I heard, Mr. Izawa is still in the hospital recovering from his injuries, ribbed. Then the entrance door slid open to reveal a mummified Eraserhead. His face and both hands were now wrapped to the brim in bandages, yet his hair was still exposed and his eyes were somewhat visible through the wrappings. Morning class. Mr. Izawa. What are you doing here? Everyone shouted in utter surprise. Damn. What a pro. One of the students added. Mr. Izawa, I'm glad that you're alright. Iida stood up from his desk. Uraraka wasn't too sure that was the best thing to comment. That doesn't look alright, Iida. Forget about my well-being. We have more important things to discuss right now. Your fight isn't over yet, was the first thing that came from Izawa's wrapped-up mouth. Our fight? Don't tell me. Not more bad guys. Izawa waited for a moment before bringing in his announcement. The UA Sports Festival is coming in 2 weeks. Yes. One student exclaimed, only to be drowned out by everyone else. Ugh. Don't scare us like that. The red-haired student cheered at the top of his lungs, flashing his sharp pearly whites. Let's go kick some ass. This was interrupted by a blonde student with a black lightning streak in his hair, shoving his palm into the guy's face. Hold on a sec, Kirishima. This sounds suspicious. Is it really such a good idea to hold the sports festival so soon after the villain snuck in here? A girl with earphone jacks for earlobes asked. Then a guy with a massive tail threw in his 2 cents. They could strike again once we're all in one spot. Eraserhead understood the concerns as he answered, the administration thinks this is the best way to show that the threat has been managed and that our school is safer than ever. Plus, they're ramping up the school security compared to past years. After all, this event is a huge opportunity for every student at UA. It's not something we can cancel because of a few crooks. He was going to continue, if not for a dwarfish student with what appeared to be massive grapes for hair. I'm sorry, but why not? It's just one tournament. Midoriya turned around to his classmate. Huh? Mineta, don't you know how important this competition is? Leading to a response from the aptly named student, of course I do. I just don't want to die. Our sports festival is one of the world's most watched events. In the past, the Olympic Games held the largest audience. Now, with the rise of quirks, that event has dropped in scale and popularity. For anyone who cares about competition, this is the only game that matters. The UA Sports Festival. The tall girl seated behind Mineta added while clenching her fist. That's right. And top heroes everywhere will be watching. This is our chance to get scouted. Not unless you're dead. The great boy retorted with a gloomy mood. Aoirozu's right. Plus, after graduating, it's common for students to join pro-hero agencies as a sidekick. It's the perfect opportunity to show the world we're hero material. The blonde with the black lightning bolt highlight from earlier added, only to be roasted by the earphone jack girl next to him. Yeah, but that's as far as some people go. They miss their chance to make their debut and stay eternal sidekicks. Chances are, that's probably where you're headed, Kaminari. You're kinda dumb. Said blonde cringed over the jab, not cool, Jiro. It's true that joining a famous hero agency can garner you greater experience and popularity. That's why the festival matters. If you want to go pro one day, then you need to take this tournament seriously. You get 1 chance a year and 3 chances in a lifetime. No aspiring hero will ever turn down this event. That means you'd better give it your all in your training. Go beyond, plus ultra. As our motto goes. Everyone else in the room was jazzed up as they answered, yes sir. The hero then dismissed everyone shortly thereafter. 3 periods later. Everyone returns to cheering about the games, hoping to get scouted after putting on a show. Most of the students were excited, but a few were shy about getting noticed. That's not to say all of the excited students garnered attention. One blonde in particular, who was constantly wearing a massive belt, got totally ignored despite modeling where everyone could see. Midoriya remained in his seat, dumbfounded over the level of discussion between everyone. This is nuts. Everyone is so excited. Well, yeah. Of course we are. Iida replied to his green-haired companion while starting a robotic dance. We enrolled at this school with the sole aim of becoming heroes. So naturally, we're all getting fired up. You're excited too. Right, Midoriya. Only Tsuyu Asui, Class 1A's resident frog girl, took notice of the dance. Wow, Iida. Those are some interesting moves. Ribbit. Well, yeah, of course I am. And also nervous. Deku. Iida. Both names pan over to Uraraka, now donning a dark and serious face. Let's do our best at the sports festival. Uraraka, what happened to your face? Midoriya asked. Seriously, what's up? You're normally like the most laid-back girl ever. Ashido asked, noticing the brunette going all dark and serious. Out of nowhere, Mineta wanted to chime in with an answer, only to be slapped by Asui's tongue to keep him quiet. Given his reputation, it was probably something perverted. Uraraka doubles down by pumping her fist in the air while shouting, everyone. I'm going to do my best. Everyone in front of her got fired up by the exclamation. She did the same thing a second time after turning around, but it wasn't as effective as the students started to worry about her. Now that I think about it, Midoriya wondered, there's something I've been meaning to ask her. A few minutes later, in the halls. S.A., Uraraka. What's up? I've been wondering, what made you decide to come to UA? You know, to become a pro hero. Well it's. The overflowing level of confidence radiating from the bubbly brunette evaporated in an instant. It's for money. The girl emphasized her level of embarrassment by scratching the back of her head. I'm sorry if it sounds greedy. I know it's not noble like you, Iida, but, well. I hope you guys don't think less of me now. Uraraka then clasped both of her hands into her cheeks as she turned away from both friends, her embarrassment now at a new all-time high. Not at all. Your goal is to support your well-being, which is an admirable ambition to have. Iida interjected for Ichako's sake. Yeah. It's just kinda surprising. Is something wrong? Midoriya wondered, noticing the girl still fidgeting over her answer. Well, you see, my family owns a construction company. We're not doing so well and are flat broke. Please don't tell anyone. Instruction, Iida pondered over the idea. Oh, that's right. If she got licensed, then she can use her quirk to cut costs. Exactly. They can also sell their heavy lifting equipment while she floats everything for them. I know, right? Uraraka started bouncing up and down. I've always told my dad that since I was little, but even then, they turned me down. She clenched her fists in frustration before looking up again with a dashing smile and full confidence. That's why I decided to become a pro. That way, I'll sign up for a good agency and make plenty of money. Then I'll be able to let my parents live an easy life they deserve. Everyone stood there for a moment before. That is beautiful. So noble. Bravo. Bravissimo. Iida applauded, his clap so loud they caught both students off guard. Midoriya stared back at Uraraka in amazement. I get it now. She's not here for a hero fantasy. If anything, she's more grounded than the rest of us. Suddenly, an unexpected yet iconic laugh emerged within the ambience, cutting everyone else off. Ahahahaha. The intruder swerved from around the corner, revealing All Might, now donning a bright yellow suit. Young Midoriya is here. The hero announces, pointing towards the male greenette, surprising everyone even more in the process. All Might, what are you doing here? The boy being pointed at wonders. Lunch. You wanna eat with me? The pro hero offered while holding a small lunchbox in his right hand. That's adorable. Uraraka burst into laughter nearby. The level of sweetness in the proposal proved too much for the gravity girl. Would you say? Izuku debated for a bit if he would accept the offer, but given that All Might personally sought him out, he accepted. After getting affirmation from his friends, he responded. Sure thing. Despite the joyful demeanor, something gnawed at the back of the greenette's mind. Is something wrong? UA cafeteria. So, Iida, do you know what he wanted with Deku? I heard that when All Might was attacked by villains back at the USJ, Midoriya tried to stop them himself. Perhaps that's what this is about. Oh, yeah. I remember that. He was pretty cool. Also, remember what Asui said on the bus? The part where Deku's power is a lot like All Might's. Indeed. Since their quirks are so similar to each other, All Might's likely taken an interest in him. It's quite impressive. I know, right? Uraraka shifted the conversation as soon as they were nearing the front of the line. So, do you want to sit at our usual spot? I'll have to decline this time, Uraraka. I promised Yaoyorozu that we'd meet with the class reps of 1B at lunchtime. We originally planned to have our first meeting after school a couple of days ago, but had to postpone it due to the USJ incident. Oh, yeah. You mentioned that when we were waiting for Deku before. That's a bummer. No worries. I will let you, Midoriya, and the rest of class 1 know if we have any other upcoming events. After receiving his lunch, Iida splits off from Uraraka for the meeting. Despite the number of strangers, he only needed to look for Momo Yaoyorozu, the deputy of class 1 and one of 4 students to enroll in recommendations. She was easy to detect as she was the tallest girl in class, paired with sharp dark eyes and long black hair tied back into a ponytail, akin to a crane's tail feathers. He approached his classmate, who was currently seated with 2 other girls. One with orange hair tied into a side ponytail and another with wavy green hair similar to Midoriya. The third girl's face was resting on the table for some reason, with both arms wrapped around it, almost as if she were napping. The orange-haired student turned to Iida and stood from her seat to greet him. Oh. Hi there. You must be Tenya Iida, right? Yes, that is correct. It is a pleasure to meet you. I hope I didn't delay the first meeting of the year too much, Miss. Kendo. Itsuka Kendo, the class representative of 1B. Don't worry about it. Yaoyorozu informed me you had to take a tangent and discuss a few things with some classmates. I see. That's a relief. Oh my gosh. Both turned to their respective deputies upon hearing the noise. They notice Yaoyorozu freaking out, only for the greenette to jab back while seated upwards. Come on, Yamomo. You do know how my quirks work, right? Kendo then facepalmed over the situation. Tokage. I thought I asked you not to spook class 1A's reps during our initial meeting. I'm not. I told you, I'm using my quirk to survey the area, remember? The green-haired girl turned to both students, forgetting that both of her eyes were missing. Good lord. What happened to your face? Iida hollered, his body turned black, white, and straight all over. Kendo pinched the bridge of her nose as a pair of green eyes floated back down and into Tokage's face. She blinked a few times before continuing, whoops. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't know how long it would take until our last guy came over, so I did something else to keep me occupied. Tokage waved as she got off her seat and walked to the boy, Tenyu Iida, right. Nice to meet ya. Iida woke up from his stupor as he bowed to her, yes, that is me. And must be Satsuna Tokage, I presume. The one and only. Tokage grinned. I see. Yaoi Rozu has told me a lot about you, given that you also got in on recommendations. Oh, yeah. I never knew. The girl muttered while rubbing the side of her neck. Tokage Yaoi Rozu wondered, now out of her seat, you mentioned earlier that you were surveying the cafeteria. What was it for? I was looking for someone. Apparently, this place is short one greenette for some reason. Greenette? Ah, you must mean Midoriya. He won't be attending the mess hall today. All Might invited him for lunch, most likely due to what happened at the USJ 2 days ago. Do you know him? Kind of. I met him a bit after the whole evacuation thing for UA's trespassers. He was pretty nice. It's not every day you meet someone with a personal collection of hero notes, let alone someone All Might has taken a liking to. Ah. That explains everything. It's a pleasure to hear you're well acquainted with my classmate. Acquaintance is a strong word, Iida. I for one prefer the term. Kendo chopped the greenette's shoulder, not wanting to get sidetracked even if Tokage yelped in pain. I'm all in for small talk, but you do realize what we're all here for, right? Of course. Apologies Kendo. Let us begin. All Might's break room. Poof. All Might shrank back into his skinny form upon escorting Midoriya into a teacher's lounge. He proceeded to tell Midoriya that the time limit for his superhero form has now dropped to only 50 minutes. The boy exclaimed in bewilderment. Yeah. That's about how long I can use my power now. I overdid it again. That Nomu was a tough customer. I'm surprised I didn't fall to my knees right after dishing out so many punches at it. At this point, I can't even be All Might for an hour and a half. I'm so sorry. I should have just Aya. Midoriya squealed before finishing his thought, now witnessing All Might chuckling with blood coming out of his mouth. You don't need to apologize for anything, kid. Man, we are so much alike. Here, have some tea All Might responded before placing a cup on the table for the green guest. Thanks. I brought you here because of the upcoming festival. The only problem is, you don't have full control over One for All yet. So what's your plan? Midoriya thought for a bit before recalling something, well. Wait a sec. I was able to control it one time. When I landed a hit on that brain villain, I didn't suffer any backlash. Oh yeah, you did mention that before I fought that guy. What was different from that smash? Let's see. We were facing real villains, and I had almost no time to think. Maybe that was part of it, since I knew this wasn't training like last time. Plus, I recall 13 warning us about exercising our powers without caution in the field. Midoriya stares at his hand during his thought process. If I had to put it best. It was because this is the first time, ever, that I used my power against someone else. Sounds like you found a way to decrease your power, even if by instinct. At least that's some kind of progress. By the way, your tea's going to get cold. Oh, right. All Might walks over to the outer window, to be honest, I don't have much time left before I retire as the world symbol of peace. I'll have to put that title to rest, sooner or later. A lot of villains out there are starting to catch wind of that. Someone has to step up and prove them wrong. And to show the people that they are still safe. Midoriya stands up in awe. This is why I gave you my power, young Midoriya. You will be the one who takes my place. Do you remember our first meeting? Do you still want to become a hero? Yes, more than anything Midoriya announced without a second thought. Excellent. Now's the time for you to prove it. This sports festival. It's what the pros, no, the whole country will be watching. I want you to think of that day as your debut. Your introduction as the new symbol of peace, the next All Might. Izuku Midoriya. I want you to show yourself to the world and proudly tell everyone, I am here. But, All Might, that's your catchphrase. I can't take that from you. Besides, what can I do? You remember how the sports festival is set up, right? Yes, it's easy. All students from UA are separated by class year, and then the hero, support, business, and general studies courses face off against each other in a series of preliminary trials. Anyone who passes the initial games gets to face off in the finals. It's pretty much a round-robin tournament before shifting into one-on-one matches. Right. That means, you'll have plenty of opportunities to present yourself. All Might stated as he sat back on the couch. I don't know about that. Oh. All Might faints backwards onto the couch he's seated on, coughing more blood in the process, as well as fully tilting the furniture onto its back. Sorry. I mean, you're right there, All Might. Midoriya apologized, only to fall into another wordy ramble. It's just that. Honestly, it's kind of tough to get excited about this after everything that went down at the USJ. After all, I'm being taught by the world's greatest hero, so I have more than one way of getting scouted. Not to mention, I don't know if I can stand out now, considering how lousy I performed on Mr. Aizawa's fitness test and struggled to control one for all that well. Geez, nobody spouts word vomit like you, kid. All Might retorted with more blood. Oh, hey, are you okay? The hero perked up from his fallen seat as he walked to the boy. Don't worry about me. I understand how you feel. I admit that I may be projecting a bit of myself onto you. That said, I hope you haven't forgotten the emotions you've shown back at the beach during our training. Remember, some heroes aim for the top. Others will happily settle for less. The difference between those two mindsets has a great impact on how far you'll go in the real world. Midoriya nodded to the sentiment as they continued their conversation. End of the day, in Class 1B. But the final period finished, everyone left to go home. Kendo and Tokage opted to stay behind to finish some paperwork before calling it a day. Welp. That should be the last of it on my end. You all good there? Kendo asked while straightening some papers. Yep, all good. I can't believe this is going to be a weekly thing for us. Oh well, the event accommodations were a piece of cake. Tokage got off her seat after filing her papers, now heading for the door. That's true. Oh hey. You want to check out the new cafe down at Baker Street? It might be a good place to study. I don't see why not. My parents and sis won't be back home for a while, so I guess I can give it a. Tokage opened the main door to exit the classroom, only to witness something strange upon turning to the right. The top half of her face went dark upon noticing the situation. What's wrong, Tokage? You might want to take a look for yourself. The greenette turned to her friend briefly before returning her gaze to the situation, not once lifting the shadow from her face. Endo walked to the front door and turned in the same direction as her friend. Oh god. What they witnessed was a swarm of students in front of Class 1A's homeroom. Neither of them could understand what they were arguing about besides somebody calling the crowd extras. We should probably help them out, Kendo noted, with a comedic sweat drop on the side of her head. Yeah. Let's go. Hey you. I'm from Class 1B next door to you all. We heard you fought some villains, and I came to see if that was true. But all I see are a load of jerks who think they're better than us. Tetsu rings loud and clear within the mob. The comment ticked the green-haired girl off so much that she stomped towards the steel student and detached one of her hands to fly at her target. Hey. I'm coming for yo I. Ow. 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 The hand snatches the steely student by the ear and drags him out of the crowd. He then finds himself face to face with his class reps. What the hell are you doing? Are you trying to start a war here? That hurt, Tokage. And they started it. That blonde jerk just called all of us extras. Endo replied, not wanting the situation to escalate. We can't start on the wrong foot with the other hero class, Tetsu. I get some guys aren't that polite as you hope, but that's not an excuse to antagonize everyone. Why the hell not? Someone's gotta call them off for being a load of idiots. Idiots? Did Monoma put you up to this? Suddenly, from amongst the crowd, somebody is shuffling through the group, pardoning and excusing the people he brushes into. Tokage takes notice as she recognizes the iconic fluff of green hair approaching them. Excuse me. Sorry. Coming through. Pardon me, the boy pops out of the mob, only stopping the moment he lays eyes on the female greenette. Midoriya. Tokage was now shocked to see the boy she wanted to see 2 days ago now in front of her. Huh? Oh, hey Toka. Who the hell are you? Tetsu interrupted Midoriya out of the blue, throwing the latter into a panic. What do you have to say for yourself about your classmate, you og? The neck chop from Kendo silences the boy as soon as she catches up. This is not how I wanted the day to end. She turns to Midoriya. I apologize for that. I hope our classmate didn't scare you too much. Are you good, Midoriya? Classmate? Oh, there's no need to worry about that. I'm fine. Thanks. The boy blinks upon remembering the student called him by his family name. Also, how do you know my name? Oh, Tokage here told me all about you. She mentioned you earlier at lunch today. Whoa. That was fast. Midoriya. There you are. Iida chimes in after swimming through the crowd and meeting the quartet. Ah, I see you found the class reps of Class 1B. How did you know they were here? Reps? Midoriya wondered before turning to the two girls and back to Iida. Well, I saw Tokage use her quirk earlier to pull one of her classmates out of the crowd. So I followed her. To be honest, I had a feeling Class 1A would develop a reputation since the incident the day before, but I didn't expect all of 1B to get so hostile. That's when Tokage shook out of her stupor and turned to the 1A boys, not all of us, just the angry ones. Sorry about that. Tetsu here is pretty friendly once you get to know him. She pointed to the boy who was still holding his neck in pain. Not sure why he and a bunch of other classmates dropped in to harass you guys. It's not very manly if you ask me. She threw that last line with a load of scorn, anticipating that the metal man would be ashamed of his actions. Tetsu now had a gloomy cloud over his head, while Midoriya thought, I think she broke his spirit. Not to be rude, Kendo chimed in. But your classmates are still inside 1A's homeroom. Do you guys need a hand? That's when Midoriya recalled what he had to squeeze through before. Oh, sure. We could use some help with that. What do you say, Iida? Of course. This mob behavior is unbecoming of a school training the next generation of pros. Please assist us in any means necessary. Both girls nod to the plan, with Tetsu following along, wanting to apologize for his behavior earlier. The crowd was easily dispersed as it mostly consisted of students from both general studies and business. There were some from class 1B, including Monoma, but Tetsu and Kendo opted to take them home and scold them for their behavior. UA courtyard. That was a close one. Clearing a swarm of students away from my class was not on my bucket list. Midoriya started, now exhausted from the chore. Yeah, you tell me. It's a good thing not many people know how my quirk works, so popping my head off was great for spooking them off. Tokage added while stretching her arms in the air. Tokage. Scaring other students is unbecoming of an upcoming pro. Iida scolded Tokage for her plan, while furiously chopping his hands at her. That being said, it was an effective method of clearing the hallways. I must commend you for that. The girl smiled at the compliment, rubbing the back of her head in the process. So, Iida. Do you want to come with us to the station? Very tempting, Midoriya. But I'll have to decline the offer this time. I still need to head back inside to handle paperwork with Yaoyorozu. You're welcome to walk with Tokage if you'd like. I'm not sure if that Midoriya wanted to reject the idea and wait here instead, only for Tokage to butt in. Sounds great. I've been meaning to chat with Midoriya about something on the way out. Be sure to tell Yamomo I said hi. Iida nodded and bowed to the duo before heading inside, while Midoriya remained confused over walking with a 1B girl once again. She wanted to talk to me about something. Oh, that's right. She was bummed out that our conversation was cut short a couple of days ago. Maybe that's what this is about. So? Tokage asks, turning to Midoriya while subconsciously swinging her hips to make her skirt flow in rhythm to the wind. Ready to head to the station. Midoriya blushed a bit over how the girl asked him, given that she was posing for him like a professional model, but was happy to spend time with her again, regardless. Yeah. Let's get going. The two walk out of the UA gate, continuing their conversation. Later, the municipal train station. Wow, I never knew Tetsu fought with so much honor for your class. He sounds a lot like Kirishima if you ask me, Midoriya said with his eyes sparkling. I know, right? I was this close to commenting to him that I found his long-lost twin the moment I spotted that redhead. Tokage admitted while closing her finger and thumb as close as possible without touching them. Both got a good chuckle at the idea of how much their classes have in common. I never even thought of that. They might actually be related, given how quirks work. Speaking of your friend. Tetsu. Will he be alright after he? Well. What he said to my class earlier. I wouldn't worry about it. His pride will recover, though he looked pretty pissed when I caught him berating your classmates. The way he phrased the word extras makes that red-eyed blonde sound like a complete asshole. Just what is his deal anyway? Red-eyed blonde? Oh, you mean Kaken. I'm so sorry about his behavior. Please don't take what he said personally. He's the only one in my class who acts like that. It's fine. I've heard worse insults. Also. Kaken. It's a nickname I made for Bakugo. We hung out as kids. Well, we used to, at least. So you were friends with class 1A's jerkwad? Tokage grew confused over Midoriya's choice of words. How did you put up with him for so long? Midoriya understood where her confusion stemmed from, so he elaborated as best as he could. Not sure, though I wouldn't exactly call myself friends with him anymore. We've kinda grown distant ever since he developed his quirk. His quirk? Why would he? The girl suddenly recalled an aspect of Midoriya as she rubbed the back of her neck in shame. Oh. Right. You were quirkless back then. Sorry, Greenie. That was uncalled for. It's alright. You didn't know. Midoriya assured her as he stared at one of his fists, while Tokage grew wide-eyed over his response. We both wanted to be heroes growing up, even if for different reasons. I just hope the hard I put in pays off for the sports festival. Well, you did get All Might to invite you for lunch today. That has to count as something. Huh? How do you know that? Iida told me about it during a rep meeting. Oh. That makes sense. So. Why did he invite you today? I'm no expert on the guy, but I've never seen him actively seek out a student before, let alone outside of class. Well, the thing is. He saw how nervous I was getting, given the upcoming event. So he gave me some words of encouragement to hype me up. That's all. You didn't get anything else to sweeten the deal? A selfie? A tour? Not even an autograph on your stuff? No. Not really. I do have his autograph in one of my notebooks, however. He managed to sign so big that you could probably see his handwriting from space. Thanks to him, that book is now a family heirloom for generations to come. The girl then cackles so hard that she leans onto a rail to keep herself from falling onto the floor. You call one of your notebooks a family heirloom just because All Might signed it? Are you the president of his fan club or something, Greenie? Tokage teased. What does that even? No. You got it all wrong. I love all heroes. I only have All Mights because I ran into him one time. I swear. Midoriya panicked, his face now totally red. The girl then calms down as she stands up straight to dust herself. Hey. Don't worry about it. It's cool you like the guy so much, Greenie. And. Setsuna then twirled a lock of hair around her finger as she looked away a bit while blushing. I have to admit. You're pretty cute when you talk about the stuff you like. Meanwhile, the boy's blush grew stronger thanks to her calling him cute a second time. Thanks. I guess. Wait a minute. What do you mean by Greenie? I mean, I get the nickname, but you do realize you're green too, right? Oh, yeah, good point. We should start calling ourselves the Green Duo from now on. She snickered at her comment while Izuku followed along, finding the new name amusing. On that note, he recalled something before leaving UA with the girl. So, Tokage. What did you want to talk to me about? Tokage's voice swiftly calmed down over what she heard. What do you mean? Well, before we left UA, you told Iida that you wanted to talk to me about something. What was it? Oh. It's. Nothing big, really. I just like chatting with you. That's it. Yeah. I had so much fun on the day we met. That. I wanted to meet you again after school. At least, until the USJ thing happened. And well, when I heard you were in the nurse's office with a busted leg and finger, I tried to check in to see how you were doing since. I heard you got roughed up by some bad guys. Tokage clenched her fist, realizing what she was about to say next. Oh. I see. So Tokage paused, wanting to keep her next question light. How's your leg feeling after the thing 2 days ago? Oh. It's all better now, thanks to Recovery Girl. I usually go to her every time I use my quirk at full power, Midoriya answered as he rubbed his right arm, leaving Tokage squirming and wondering how often he visits the old nurse. I need to hurry and get this ability under control. It's the only way I can get stronger before the sports festival begins. Stronger? Are you sure that's all you need? What do you mean, Tokage? Isn't that why we're all here in UA? Well, yeah, when you simplify the process, it is the end goal. But when you have other factors to consider, that can't be your only skill, right? Power's great and all, but what do you do when you face off against an opponent that's smaller, faster, or even smarter, for that matter? Not to mention, villains rarely play by the rules and will take any advantage they can get their hands on. I never thought of it like that. I guess I forgot about the other aspects of hero work. Hey. Don't sweat it, man. We may have met a couple of days ago, but from what I heard from your classmates, you have a lot more skills under your belt than you give yourself credit for. And you got into the best hero school in the country, if not the world, with the best pro hero in history seeking you out. You've come so far, Greenie. Be proud of it. I'm sure you'll do great at the sports festival. Why, you really mean it? Sure do. And hey, if you need help with anything, you're more than welcome to reach out to me if you want. Hey, are you sure? I mean, I'm flattered, but I don't want to burden you with my stuff. Aren't we all competing against each other in the sports festival? We are, but that doesn't mean we can't grow stronger together. Even if we're in different classes, cooperating will be a lot better for everyone in the hero course down the road. That's true. We all have our reasons to become heroes. It's kind of pointless if we fight over small details. See? You get it. Tokage chuckled at the comment she made, cute, clever, and considered. I'm so glad I finished my rep work early. Both students now stood on top of the train dock, in silence. Then Midoriya's train arrives, calling out to him. Now boarding, all passengers from station G02 to G01. Again. Now boarding, all passengers from station G02 to G01. Well. I guess this is my stop. Sorry, we didn't get to talk more. Hey, there's no need to apologize, Midoriya. I enjoyed our time together, even if it's just for a bit. I'd love to do this again sometime. Why, you really do? Tokage nodded at the claim. Definitely. She then got a particular idea just as his door was about to open. Although, if you want, I don't mind sweetening the deal for you next time. She gets closer to the boy as she flutters her eyes and seductively sways her hips. We could do something together after the festival. Just the two of us. What do you say, cutie? Midoriya grows redder by the minute. What's gotten into her? Is she asking me out on a date? But we just met a couple of days ago. That can't be it. Wait. Hold on. Maybe she's playing a game with me to get our minds off the event. No. That's not it. She seems more excited than stressed. Oh crap. I never had a girl seek me out before, let alone ask me out. What do I do? What do I do? What do I? Steam poured out of his ears and his eyes went blank. The girl stared at the boy for a bit before tilting her head to the side to ask, are you okay? Midoriya snapped out of his blushing state. Oh, sorry. I must have gotten sidetracked for a moment. He then saw his train was about to leave. Shoot. I almost forgot. I gotta get started on training for the festival, Tokage. Gotta go. Bye. He then dashes towards the train just as its door is about to close. The last thing Tokage saw from the boy was him covering his tomato red face with both of his hands while seated. Yeah. See ya. Tokage quietly answered, waving at the boy. She stood there for a moment. I guess I laid it on a little too thick back there. Oh well. I'll clear up the misunderstanding tomorrow. Hopefully he doesn't think too much of what I said while we prepare for the sports festival in 2. It then dawned on her that she forgot one crucial detail, which was. Oh shit. The sports festival is in 2 weeks. And no one will be attending class during that time. I'm such an idiot. Now I won't get to see him while he gets the wrong idea about me. The girl grows redder as she cups both of her hands over her face while her hair fans out in every direction. It was a peculiar sight, or at least enough for a nearby kid to call her rhubarb. And to make things more awkward, I didn't even ask for his number, so I can't even clear this misstep sooner than I'd like. Wait. Calm down, Sets. There's still time. Yeah. That's right. I'll just run into him by chance. It worked twice, it'll work again. According to the train maps, he should be living in the same district as UA. Well, I do plan to run on new tracks for my training, so this works perfectly. Alright. Time to commence Operation Green Duo Reunion. Now boarding all passengers from station G02 to C03. Again. Now boarding all passengers from station G02 to C03. 2 weeks pass as everyone trains in the gym, the UA training grounds, indoors, and even on open fields to avoid hurting others with their quirks. As for Midoriya, he trained at the beach where his entire journey started, with All Might's words of becoming the next symbol of peace ringing in the back of his mind. Little did he know, Tokage ran far and wide across his district, hoping to run into him at least once and to increase her speed both on the ground and in the air. 2 weeks later, UA High School, 8:15 a.m. Fireworks blasted into the morning sky in a variety of colors, with scattered clouds complementing the pleasant day for Japan's greatest tournament event, the UA Sports Festival. People waltzed around the grounds of the 3 great arenas on campus, with vendors selling food, merchandise, and more to heroes and civilians alike. No celebration could ever come close to today. The first years seemed to be the round everyone was most excited for, especially given the publicity of 1A's USJ incident. Naturally, this garnered everyone's attention on them the most. Not that the other years were completely eclipsed, they'll be performing later after their event is over. The stadium was filled to the brim with guests, so everyone struggled to get a seat, especially the press, given they were part of the reason behind the enhanced security. Even if they weren't aware of what they'd done, they indirectly helped the League of Villains break into the USJ facility, so nobody was too fond of their presence. Regardless, everyone shared the same sentiment for the upcoming event. Class 1A's waiting room. Oh man. This sucks. I wanted to wow the crowd with my costume today. Ashita whined as she adjusted her UA gym uniform. Look on the bright side. Everyone will be wearing the same uniform. That way, we're all on the same level, right? The tail quirk man of the class consoled his classmate. Meanwhile, other students mingled to share their excitement about today's event. I wonder what will be in store for us in the first round. No matter what they prepare, we must persevere. Indeed. The Ida barges into the room announcing, everyone. Get your game faces on. We're entering the arena in a few minutes. This brought some students into a panic, but not Izuku. He took some breathing exercises to calm his nerves, though it couldn't prepare him for what he heard next. Midoriya. Thanks for watching guys, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. Also don't forget to check out author of this story. All details in description.